Our story is about a tough chef, with little patience for silly mistakes. This guy is the best of the best, besides being very famous, and he doesn't mean any harm. It's when a panel opens up, and reveals that he hasn't completed his mission of earning Michelin stars, and time is running out. Despite being the Chuck Norris of the kitchen, it wasn't enough to break his curse, and in the middle of a show, to everyone's despair, he is dragged away. So that's it, folks. The end, but not really. The poor guy is reborn in the body of a young man again, to try once more, and he discovers that he is the son of a diner owner. Seems he will have a bit more work this time to earn his Michelin stars. The man is quite irritated and complains that someone else ruined those fresh ingredients. He berates them and wants to know the secret to making that garbage. The guy seems really upset and kicks the other out of the kitchen respectfully. People apologize while being humiliated as they are watched on a screen. The host gathers some of the guy's remarks and says he is truly touched by all that delicacy, but the blonde guy seems unfazed and says that words can really hurt. That man with the microphone flatters Jamie a bit. He says that the guy is a tough opponent, and that for the first time, he sees someone so calm, and now he wants to test to see if the guy is really good. The Michelin star is the highest honor for a chef, and he has 21. The host then begins to review all the chef's accolades. That guy has already written books, won awards in France among other things, so he sums it up by saying that the guy is really quite famous. Jamie realizes that he is trying to provoke him with everything. He says he thanks him for the presentation, but says that just chef is enough for him. The guy provokes him by saying he doesn't know if he can handle it today, but the man tells him to start. Then he asks the chef to talk about the Michelin stars, since the audience doesn't know much about it. Excited, he says he will explain the basics. He says that 1 star is given to a restaurant that has exceptional cuisine. A 2nd star is offered when the restaurant is so good that you change your routine to eat there. There is also the 3-star restaurant. That makes the experience very special. The host says that instead, viewers might want a more personal explanation, so the man thinks for a few seconds and decides he will explain in a more straightforward way. A 1-star restaurant can attract many customers and sustain itself without problems. A 2-star restaurant can increase its earnings by up to 7 times. He explains that worldwide, there are fewer than 100 restaurants with 3 stars. Then he questions the host if the value of those few restaurants isn't really remarkable. Everyone watching that live show is impressed and applauds. The guy says that Jamie has a total of 21 stars to his name and asks what the secret to his success is, since many spend their entire youth just to earn 1 star. He thinks the chef took advantage of influence to achieve that. Jamie says that many think that, but the stars have been kept anonymous for over 110 years. Then they want to know if he can't influence the stars, even being the best chef in the world. And the man says no. What really matters is whether the food is good or not. Then suddenly a panel appears in front of him, saying that the time for reincarnation is just a few minutes. A bit tense, he loosens the cloth around his neck and thinks it's almost time. Excited, the host says he prepared a dish for him that many young people enjoy nowadays. Then the food arrives, and he sees that it consists of several simple and tasty things. He laughs and says, "It looks like quite an interesting meal." As he enjoys the food, the minutes keep ticking down. Then he tastes it and glances at the panel once again. Another minute has passed. The host wants to know honestly how it is and asks for his usual critiques. Smiling, he says that one of the dishes there is a bit tough due to how bad it is. Now there are less than 2 minutes left until his reincarnation. He puts his hand on his face and seems to be feeling a bit unwell. Something starts to happen and he sweats a lot. The host calls his name as his vision blurs a bit. The entire audience is startled by what is happening, and then it ends, showing that time is up and he is being dragged away. It seems he failed the mission to collect 25 stars, and time has run out. He looks at the panel feeling a bit unwell, and he seems to dislike what he sees, cursing the situation. Then he appears to lose his strength and collapses like a sack of potatoes on the floor of that stage. The host panics, asking him to open his eyes, and just before losing consciousness, he hears people calling for an ambulance. The guy thinks he can't believe it ended this way again, and that next time it won't end like this. The terminal shows that it is synchronizing, and a new mission will begin. It seems someone in front of the terminal is waking up. He puts his hand on his head and says that, no matter how many times he goes through this, it always hurts. It seems the mission has a very simple rule, and if the mission fails, you reincarnate as an unknown person, of another nationality, but each time he reincarnates, the number of Michelin stars he needs will increase. It seems that now in his 6th life, he needs to achieve 30 stars. In his 2nd and 3rd lives, he suffered from depression. However, after that, he only thought about ways to maximize his efficiency. Our hero still doesn't know what will happen when he succeeds, but he knows one thing. He needs to escape this cycle of reincarnations. He seems a bit upset, because he almost succeeded this time. If he adds up all the lives he has lived, comes to about 100 years, and he thinks he can get stars easily. With his experience so in this life, he can't miss any opportunities, because he's already had enough. More than that, he thinks it's about time to show up. As he sees the terminal appear, he watches it, while thinking he needs to check his new profile, giving it a little tweak there. He hopes to start with something good. Then he makes his choice. A woman says she is busy, and asks if she can help with the ice cream. This seems to catch our hero off guard. He awkwardly smiles in agreement, while the woman hurries him. Then Benyu tells his mother that he is leaving. He is the son of the owner of a snack bar. In front of the school and looking at the terminal, he realizes he is 26 years old and unemployed. He feels a bit uncomfortable while fiddling with the sausages. This is Benyu Hain, and he has reincarnated as the son of the owner of a small snack bar in Korea. Since it is in front of the school, sales are going well, but one thing is certain. He has a very small chance of earning Michelin stars. In this environment previously, he was the son of a wealthy British family, who was excited about his desire to become a famous chef in his past life. He easily found a direction, but this time, it seems he will have a rather rough start. Something catches his attention. Nearby, an elderly man greets his mother. He asks if she has considered reducing the menu. The man says that running a business can be really stressful, and that everything on that menu is difficult. That man is named Beck First John. He has a TV show about street food and is quite famous. The man said he would throw everything away and start over to give that business a boost. And if it doesn't work out, he will join her in management. There are a series of advantages and disadvantages to using the snack bar on the TV show. And the good thing is that it can attract more customers and money. And money is a necessary tool to earn the stars more quickly. The man wants to know if her son will try or not. He feels a bit embarrassed and thinks about the owner of this body, a university student who is exhausting his mother by working hard to earn money. Actually, he is a guy without a job who just stays home eating. He doesn't know how people would react. And some people on the other side of the screen are quite irritated that he isn't lifting a finger. Our hero thinks he can't slack off, and that for the sake of the stars, he needs to do everything right. The man tells him that he has given him a week to decide, and that he can't appear on television, just eating and playing. His mother gets a bit tense while calling his name, but Beck One tells her to stop protecting him, then asks if he has made his decision. Our hero thinks that of course, he will need to act a bit, because he needs to touch the hearts of a nation. In a cute way he says he will do his best. The man gets excited that he has decided this, and RMC knows the power a broadcast can have. Beck One says he will see him next week, while our young man thinks he knows how to manage his image on screen. So he leaves something, saying that the basics are written there, and that he should follow this for the next week. His mother steps in trying to defend him, saying it's too much for her poor little boy. They are worried about having left the homework to the irresponsible boy, but the girl says there must be some purpose. Then, Banyu takes the lead and says he will do his best. It seems he is an immature son, over 100 years old. He then decides to start warming up slowly. A week later at the restaurant, someone seems quite irritated, questioning what happened in a week. The guy says he looks like a completely different person, and that he's doing great in the kitchen. They question Back One, wanting to know what kind of training he did for the boy. The guy smiles and says it will be difficult in some time. Looking at the screen, they want to see if he practiced well. Then they observe the young man cooking and chopping. while explaining what should be done. Seems the ingredients are quite different from last time, and everything looks delicious. That man wants to enhance the menu of the place, and they will include ramen, with some extra ingredients. Then he says the question is whether they will be able to prepare all of this properly. They want to see if the homework they assigned to the boy improved his skills, while he continues cooking with his mother. The girl is worried if they are doing everything on time, but the host says the guests have arrived, and things are going to get crazy. Our hero welcomes the first of them. The guy says a good crowd is coming with him. Then he wants to order 14 fried eggs with rice, and 8 ramens in advance. Shortly after, it seems the whole crowd really arrives, asking if the guy has already placed the order. On TV it says they are packed and losing orders, so they question how they will overcome this. While our hero seems a bit overwhelmed with work, the girl asks her president if this isn't too much, commenting that it seems like too much for beginners. However, back at the diner, RMC moves the knife like a swordsman. Then they say he has impressive culinary skills, and start describing each of his movements. He has the ability to cook some things, and prepare others at the same time, making everything as perfect as possible. Benny makes some really nice moves in the kitchen. The guys are genuinely surprised, because he looks like a professional chef working, and he only trained for a week. The program host feels a bit tense questioning this, and Yu thinks there's no time to pretend to be an amateur there, because he needs to complete the mission in the best time possible. He tells his mother that he will start serving the rice with eggs. They order 2 more eggs with rice, and the chef confirms they are asking for more food, and she says she will bring everything soon. Our young man says everything is ready and just needs to be plated. The director notices that the position between mother and son has switched, and he is still much faster than her. She is curious, because she saw the boy putting cold water in the rice with eggs. The guy explains that frying cold rice can keep it separate and fluffy, but since it lacks moisture, he needs to add water. But he knows he didn't write about this, and wonders how it's possible that the boy has obtained this knowledge. He starts to think that the boy hid his skills to appear on screen. Then he asks the director to follow him for a few seconds. One of the customers leaves, saying he really liked the food, and that he will come back the next day. So our hero thanks him. He breathes a little relieved, thinking that everything is almost resolved. He is used to receiving compliments from those people with empty plates in front of them, and this is due to having 100 years of practice. But this might seem a bit impossible for a beginner. His mother seems a bit impressed by this, and he has gone through numerous embarrassments because of it. He has always tried to do his best to maintain control and balance in his reactions. Smiling Ben, you never thought it would be so easy to cook, and if he had known, he could have started earlier. He feels shy and says he practiced a lot last night. He knows that 20 years is a short period, and he cannot limit his abilities, and his mother thinks he is wonderful. Then suddenly someone asks if he practiced all night, and that happens. Surprised, the guy says he thought it was a presentation, but now that he is there, he can't believe they are having this conversation. Our hero's mother is happy and welcomes him. He asks the lady if her son is a culinary genius, but she says she doesn't know, and that she is happy with his work. Beck 1 keeps analyzing our hero, thinking he looks very much like a professional. Finally he sits down and asks Ben, you to make him some fried rice and eggs as well, and our young man gets excited about the idea. Then shortly after that food is ready, he observes it with curiosity for a bit. Next he puts it in his mouth and is taken by surprise. The guy can barely speak, and you questions whether soy sauce is the base of the dish's flavor, but it seems to be overshadowed by another item on the menu, the ramen. The guy, very surprised, asks about this. He explains that it wouldn't be possible to enjoy the flavors of both, so he made the fried rice his way, and that while it does have a bit of soy sauce flavor, the butter and honey are stronger. This combination neutralizes the spicy flavor of the ramen. The presenter is very surprised, questioning if he really made this himself. Nearby the cameraman asks if it wouldn't be inappropriate to change the recipe. The presenter takes another spoonful of that food. He gets overly excited for never having thought of this, and asks him to sell this recipe to him. The cameraman is very surprised by the guy's reaction. The other young man tells him to be quiet, and to get a close-up of the president. He says that something simple and delicious like this can only be made by true masters, and that the combination of this with the ramen is truly wonderful. Meanwhile, The other two men filming seem to understand. He comments that the boy is not a disrespectful child to his parents. Then he wonders if this will be the birth of a tremendous star. It seems the guy was right, and they start to see the young man as a star, making a big success. The TV program began to spread more and more, and several articles and video clips appeared, which made his snack bar crowded. Excited while cooking, he announces that more dishes are ready. This happened in the 5th week, after he reincarnated in this body, and it seems the snack bar remains crowded. All of this is great for making money, but at the terminal, it shows that he doesn't have any Michelin stars yet, so this won't directly help him in his purpose. He realizes he needs to elevate his chef status, to go beyond the neighborhood. He needs a good reputation to open a restaurant. Another person enters the snack bar. Our young man welcomes the guy, but he is a bit surprised by something. That is Lee Chan-song, the director of the Gilmark restaurant. He says he was passing by, and decided to stop for a meal. Our young man sees an opportunity there. So excited he asks him to take a seat. Night falls in that city. Someone asks if Saba is taking a break. Lee Chong says that this is an infamous fried rice, and that he is bringing it to regain energy, since the guy doesn't stop working. He thanks him saying he didn't know his junior director had this kind of characteristic. He tells him to enjoy the food, while he has something to say, and another young man questions if this is how he prepares food quickly. The guy is impressed that it is really good, and that he didn't use some tricks that are common in shows. It seems they want to know how much of a genius RMC is, and if he is really capable of preparing wonderful dishes. Then he asks if Sunbae isn't also curious about banyo. The guy then understands the purpose of this. He wonders if the point is that he wants to recommend the young man for the Wonderful Chefs program in Korea, where Kim Soo is the producer. It seems the guy was so speechless that he agreed to help, and now got himself into this mess. He thinks the young man is clever and capable of highlighting the crucial aspects to demonstrate his strengths. Seems it's not just his way of cooking, but also how he expresses himself, and he definitely doesn't seem like an ordinary person. He adds that the guy seems to have that star quality, that it will be better for everyone if he does well on the show. The guy says it was great for an immature child to save the snack bar, and then become a chef to make his mother happy. Benyu is gaining a lot of success on social media, and it would be good to take advantage of this. Explosion Kim Soo comments that he wants to take advantage of this, because it is an era where everyone is forgotten. Very quickly the young man asks, that's why it's difficult to invite him to the shows, and the other one says yes. Suddenly he notices something, and you ask if that's why Kim Soo is worried. For the Wonderful Bosses program in Korea, the brutal culinary challenges are selected in 2 ways. Out of 9,000 candidates, only 100 are selected after a rigorous examination. Typically these are 100 highly awarded individuals, or those with special experience. This experience refers to those who possess secret techniques, or those passed down through generations. And it seems a bit unfair to put that kid on the same level, just because he appeared in the media once. But director Lee Chan knows this, and wonders what option is left, considering the preliminaries have already ended. The young man says it would be by winning a culinary challenge. He then asks the young man to leave the ticket for Ban, assuring that he will be a star, and the producer wants help with that. But he knows that winning a culinary challenge is not easy, so he needs to prepare some advantage. In the diner someone questions if they saw the envelope. It seems the guy sent an envelope with a lot of information about the previous challenge. Winners, he explains that it is a city-level challenge, so it won't be a problem to select him if he wins, and this time they will take the 2 best. He tells him not to be disappointed if he fails, and that it's important to challenge himself. He thanks him kindly, thinking that the young man believes he will fail. Then he says goodbye, stating that he is busy with the competition, so they can meet later. That competition consists of 2 rounds. The first round focuses on making special dishes, while in the second, the ingredients are provided by the organizers. Seems that high quality doesn't need to be shown in the first round, and without showing the basics, he will already attract attention. He thinks about making a family-friendly and easy dish. He remembers when he made shepherd's pie, which he made for a show and is a perfect meal. For the occasion his mother says it's her day off, and asks if he is cooking again. Kindly, he says he needs to train for the culinary competition, but she insists that he should rest a bit. He says he is fine and that she should rest, because he will prepare a special dinner for her. She becomes all giddy and amazed by her angelic son. RMC thinks that the original owner of the body was quite disobedient, since she gets all happy over anything, and he decides he will be the son of the year from now on. All excited, the mother says she will hang up and call back later. She becomes curious, asking how he is doing, and it seems he is using bones to make the chicken tastier. Then, he goes to the cupboard and says he has something more, showing a jar and saying, "It's marinated potatoes with meringue." She becomes even more curious about how this was made. Benyu explains that if he marinates it with egg, this way it will make everything even tastier. Not understanding, she questions if he saw this on YouTube, which seems like a perfect excuse, and he confirms. Then he starts showing how to make it, as if he had seen it in the video. He puts everything in the oven, covering the potatoes with tomato puree and Parmesan cheese. After a while, that pie is finished. He takes a piece and asks her to try it, while she says it looks delicious. Then she takes a forkful and tastes it, and she seems enchanted by what she is feeling. She says it's wonderful and that they could sell it. Besides thinking he spent a long time watching videos. A bit embarrassed, he says he just got lucky. She is amazed, thinking her son is a culinary genius. It seems she contacts someone and questions about the ground beef pie that she is not sure about. She talks to someone who says it's not dog food, which is the name of the dish. And our hero thinks that good food is good food. Benyu has thought about this before, as his pie is presented as number 93. He understands that there seems to be a pre-established way for Koreans to praise food. The guy comments that he could sell this for a high price, and the woman says she never expected to taste something like this in a food competition. They are very impressed with the flavor of the food and call more people to taste it. Seems someone wants to eat more, but the man warns that there are still judges who haven't tasted it. Beth, the culinary researcher, is impressed with the flavor of the cheese and the other ingredients in the pie. Jack Kim, who has 2 Michelin stars, questions why he used beef instead of lamb. Our hero explains that he chose beef because he thought it would please more people. Seems he used British techniques to make the potatoes, but when asked if he studied there, he says it was nothing like that. The guy also realizes that he made his own tomato puree. He praises and jokes that he should learn from Banyu. Our hero feels embarrassed, saying that it's too much praise. Then he says he has another question, and our MC notices that he seems quite curious about his recipe. He remembers that he was exactly like him in his second life, and that the guy appears to be a junior who works hard. In the end, the man was not being heard. Someone calls for Jack Kim and he says he's on his way. They want to know what he thinks of the competitor, and if it doesn't seem like a scam, since he was a street cook. Jack Kim says that his level seems professional, and that even though he calls him a genius, seems like there's something different about his skills. Excited, the woman asks if the dynamics of the competition will change, and the guy still doesn't quite believe in the young man. Meanwhile, Jack Kim is puzzled by that smile. Seems he smiles like a child, and feels like a grandmother with her grandson. Sometime later at the Seoul Culinary Competition, the man with the microphone presents the Culinary Survival Competition. This is the 14th competition, congratulating everyone who made it this far, which were exactly 31 people. He explains that round 2 is where you can showcase your techniques with the selected ingredients. Then he reveals that the main ingredient is here. Everyone around is horrified by that, and into the microphone he shouts that it's duck meat. People seem to have gotten a bit tense, and make comments like, for example, 2 competitors are specialists in this type of meat. One is Kim Hae-suk, who has sold duck meat for 23 years. The other is the queen of traditional Korean cuisine, Cho Gam-sun, who has appeared on various cooking shows. It seems they are doubting the competition's fairness, since there are exactly 2 people who will be selected. But the presenter covers the guy's mouth and tells him not to worry, because the judges will evaluate the dishes based on taste and will not discuss experiences on the show. Excited, he then says for them to start the second round, but the crowd still seems a bit in disbelief that everything isn't rigged. The presenter says that time is limited and they must move, but people are a bit discontent. It's no surprise they feel this way, since there are 2 specialists in duck meat in that place. However, he notices that our guy is calm, while he wonders what he should do. Nearby the pots start to stir, and the two duck specialist cooks begin to do their work. As expected, everyone is watching how the specialists are working. They intend to try to gather some information to produce their dish, but he knows that it's impossible to have confidence in oneself if one is copying others, so he becomes curious to know how Ben Yuhyang is doing. While he works, the judges pass by his station. She asks what kind of food he intends to serve, and RMC says he plans to use the duck breast. Chef Kim Sung-ho, head of the Blue House in South Korea, says he will have to stand out, since many are making this dish. The guy thinks that's true, and that they might be disappointed. Compared to the first round, Kim Sun criticizes him, saying he needs to have a sense of challenge and determination, and that doing the same as everyone else won't get him anywhere. He walks away saying that in his time, copying a recipe would result in an automatic disqualification, while the other woman says she's eager to taste this, and our hero says yes, he will show the difference in his techniques. Jack Kim is impressed by how he doesn't let the judge's criticism interfere with his mental state, and he thinks it will be really cool if he can show that difference. During the competition, RMC continues working, full of confidence in his dish. Sometime later, that beautiful dish is served. The judges taste it and the woman is quite impressed. Another judge, who had been a bit unpleasant, gives an awkward little twist. She says the dish is wonderful, and that despite being common, everything is perfect. They shower our guy with compliments, and he graciously thanks them. The presenter says he received an excellent judgment, and that just like in round one, he again caught attention. Then that judge says he was a bit disappointed with the sauce. He explains that poultry dishes are very well complemented by fruits, and that he should use the correct sauce. He feels a bit embarrassed, and says he has never heard of a fruit diet for that, and he asks in which book he could see this combination, saying that he followed his advice to try something new. The judge feels a bit awkward. The host says that Banu remains firm after the judge's challenge, but our MC says he is just getting started, and is curious, and he wonders if they thought his personality would be dead, because he has reincarnated. He keeps questioning where this condescending attitude could have come from. Then he comments on videos he saw on YouTube that might be better than that suggested sauce. The judge is getting more and more irritated with our hero, while the female judge seems to be enjoying the situation quite a bit. The other evaluators find it strange that the confident chef can't even respond. Now the young man will hear a question, which was, how did he make the exquisite food without using fruit in the sauce? He poured duck fat and drizzled the meat with honey and herbs, which included a sauce already infused. He made a subtle choice of vegetables and also used green onions and sesame to give the duck a fresh and strong flavor. Finally, he had a puree to accompany it. While the impressed evaluator completes that it is a new combination without using fruits, the other renowned chef is frustrated. The host mentions that even Chef Jackie Kim didn't hold back his words, and also praises Ban Yuhyun's work. That other judge remains quite irritated. A young woman approaches the judges and asks if she can taste that dish too. The host notes that she seems very curious about the flavor, and asks if the MC and the judges will allow the tasting. Smiling, the female judge explains that if the young man has no objections, he should feel free to eat. Nodding positively, the young man takes the plate and extends it for the woman to try. There is a brief moment of tension before the woman takes the food. Then she eats it, showing an immediate look of surprise, capturing the flavor of the green onion and sesame, and achieving incredible flavors with the carrot. The duck meat is refreshing, rich and tender. The woman feels a bit embarrassed, but will ask for a favor. She humbly requests that Ben Yuhyun teach her how to cook that dish. Impressed, our hero thinks that even someone who has been cooking duck for over 20 years asks to learn something new, knowing that this is not an easy attitude. He admires his colleague and happily accepts her request. The judge observes them in silence. My young man, have you ever thought about learning to cook professionally? He asks. He also says he can't forget the dishes made, that there are more things he wants the boy to learn, and asks for his contact information. Our hero for a moment doesn't even know what to say. That man is an incredibly skilled chef, who even has 2 stars. He remembers another competitor, who has 21 Michelin stars, and thought he had nothing to learn from the MC, and that he wouldn't thank him if he learned something. The young man thanks him for the offer, but explains that he is busy managing the shop with his mother, and that he will visit the chef later. Jack Kim laughs, as he says he didn't expect to be rejected, but he understands that he made an offer out of nowhere. He insists, however, on knowing the recipe for the pie, and Ben Yuyan is happy to fulfill that request. At another moment he thought the conversation had ended. Someone extends a phone with the news. Jack Kim's curiosity about our hero's skills. Another post talked about the MC's refusal to learn from the culinary genius. A boy asked Ben Yuhan if he really said all that. I said something like that, he replies, thinking that the Korean media is more intense than he imagined. The other young man thinks that people like stories that generate debates, and shows his phone. There is an article that says Yoon Jong-hyun, a determined candidate to defeat the protagonist. He takes the device to read the post. There is a person with the nickname Anonymous00, saying that it is normal to lose to a good disciple, like Jack Kim's. The young man questions how he dares to be so arrogant. He is quite upset about the situation, and he thinks that even if he does his best, as a beginner the guy will attract all the attention. Someone thanks Mr. Yoon Jang for participating in the competition. The guy says they will capture his daily life in the kitchen. On camera they expect a lot from him for being Jack Kim's disciple, so he asks if he is confident about the competition. Smiling, the young man says he wants to show his skills, because good results await him. Then, he is asked about wanting to go to the championship, and reminded about Banyu, and people comment if he won't be intimidated by RMC, but it seems that articles say the guy is very good too. While he waits, something surprising happens, and the tower with the microphone falls to the ground. He apologizes to the people, leaving them somewhat surprised. He can't concentrate well there, because there are some insects making a lot of noise. Those guys get a little tense about it awkwardly. He says that the new staff members are problematic, and tells them to leave so the interview can continue. The young man seems truly at ease, but in reality he is worried about our hero, thinking that he is already bothering him, even before the event starts. Someone asks, who is the person they most want to compete against? A young man responds that it is our hero, because he wants to know if he is really good, or just a story, and a girl says she wants to compete against him, because he is quite handsome. An older man says that the boy is a genius, so he wants to win against him, and one after another, they express their desire to compete against our young man. Lee Chun shows these things to him on the screen, and says that he is truly a star. He understands that he is getting attention, but he didn't expect this, and all the judges are watching him. He realizes that the young man is really worried, and thanks him for his advice. Handing the envelope to them, he says he prepared information about the judges. It seems that all the judges in the competition are renowned chefs from South Korea. This is Kang Yohan, a renowned chef, who has 11 Michelin stars, and works in Dubai at a 3-star restaurant. This other one is Choi Hoon, the only chef who received 3 Michelin stars. In France, Kimmy Ran is called the mother of Korean cuisine, and loves national recipes. It seems that with the cross-referenced information, seafood is a good option, mixed with the idea of fast food. While he is explaining, our hero makes a cute origami, and the young man gets quite irritated by this. He thanks him kindly for the advice, but doesn't want him to feel responsible for it, and he has already decided what dish he will make. The young man is curious to know if it is a dish he is confident in making, even as a novice, but he responds sweetly that he always watches YouTube and picks up bits of information. It seems he will have to maintain this cheerful facade for some time after all. From his perspective, it is normal to be anxious for him. It's not as if he doesn't know how to act, since he has lived this for 100 years. And the most important thing is that he just cooks, as he is used to doing. He begins to believe that he can succeed in this life, if he endures the reality of what is to come, and achieves good results. Sometime later in the studio, everything is ready and the lights are on. The man is quite excited, saying that the start of the competition has finally arrived. He welcomes everyone and introduces himself, saying that he will be the host of this survival competition. Our hero thinks that he is not the main character, yet he still makes a lot of noise. Now that he has introduced himself, he will start presenting the judges. Then they begin to enter the program. He says there is no way not to know those people. He then introduces those 3 renowned chefs. Everyone comments on the chefs, and it seems there is a rumor about Kaneo deliberately pursuing others. And now that everyone has been introduced, the mission will be explained, and to move on to the next, they need to complete the previous one. Seems that in this round, they can do whatever they want, and he is expecting to see a good variety of seafood. He knows there might be a bit of tension from not knowing what the others will prepare. Seems that the production received each participant's special dish in advance, so they will reveal them on the screen. All the participants are horrified by this. Seems that the screen shows the list of all participants, and there are indeed a lot of seafood dishes, along with difficult ones. The young man observes Banyu on the screen with the description of his dish, and nearby a guy watches him. He gives a satisfied little smile. He thinks this is the disciple, Jack Kim, he saw in the article, and it seems they will cook exactly the same thing. He thinks that the characteristic of the scallop depends on the chef's skills, and that is why he chose this option. He thinks a bit about the situation, and comes to the conclusion that it seems the other young man did not choose, for the same reason generally. That boy seems to be more confident. The host asks everyone to go to their station, and then present their dishes. Director Kim Soo observes closely. The chef's team comments on the fact that both ended up declaring the same dish, and that it was a bit strange. Lee Chong clearly looks a bit tense about this situation, and mentally apologizes for not being able to help with it. Sometime later, he is a bit worried about whether he is having problems with production and if he will lose his job. He lights a cigarette, thinking that this could be a disaster, and questions how he could have not been afraid to speak in public. The guy almost gives him a heart attack by saying he can't smoke there because it's near the restaurant. He adds that it seems some people don't follow the rules around there, but the young man feels super embarrassed and apologizes. He takes advantage of the situation and says he will give him a chance to apologize properly. The guy gets a bit tense and wants to know what the idea is, but the young man wants to ask him a favor. Of course, the favor he wants to ask is about our hero. The director remembers that situation, where he ended up talking too much about our young man's dish. Someone questions why Banyu has such a bright expression on his face. Seems like he is enjoying something, and his expression is indeed one of satisfaction. The director thinks that, even though he seems quite confident, he is exaggerating a little by making the same dish as the main candidate. The RMC continues cooking, very excited. He has never seen a competitor challenge himself like this before. He wonders if he realizes who he is competing against in terms of experience, but finds it very pleasant that a junior wants to compete like this. Sometime later, those works of art are ready. The presenter introduces both dishes and says it will be a great competition between Banyu and Yoonjong. It seems the judges are tasting Yoonjong's dish first. One of them seems to have really enjoyed what he tasted. They comment that it feels like they are in a wonderful restaurant and that the flavor is truly great, while the young man thanks them. Then the presenter adds that it is very rare to see so many compliments coming from the judges panel. Now it's the next competitor's turn, Banyu, and he asks if he is nervous about making the same dish, but he says no and that it's not a problem, since each one is showcasing their unique dish. The presenter thinks he is quite confident. Yoonjong thinks he is a bit arrogant for being so confident against the head of a restaurant. Now it's the judges' turn to taste our MC's dish. They put that food in their mouths, and in the next moment, they seem to have been hit by something. Passing the fork over the plate, one of them comments on something. They start talking and whispering about the dish. Another guy is satisfied because he thinks the judges are shocked that the dish is terrible. One of the judges is really shocked by this, and he says it is the most perfect flavor he has ever tasted in his life. His opponent becomes tense and surprised by this statement. Then one of them questions what he used, asking if it was watercress. He confirms, saying yes, and that he made a watercress butter sauce on top. He explains the whole process he went through to make it incredible. He adds to everyone's surprise that the puree is not made from broccoli, but from cauliflower and peas, because he wanted a unique flavor. The judge says that this combination was indeed a surprise and that he didn't know It would pair so well with the rest of the dish. Then, the presenter offers the apron as a symbol of success, since it was the highest-rated dish in the competition. Humbly our hero thanks, and his opponent is stunned by what he is seeing. Kim Hee talks about Yoon Jong, saying he was also wonderful. Our hero goes to a table and says he will take it to him, and he hands him an apron, clearly in a provocative manner. Then he adds that it is a promise for them to have fun together. In round 2, while the guy gets quite irritated, he says he is looking forward to his cooperation. An excited judge says that this talent can only be described as genius. Baek-won says that the kid is really amazing on the show, and that he believes he is already better than himself. His mother appears crying on the show, saying she is very grateful to her son. He gets excited, saying there are many articles and clips, but she feels a bit embarrassed for crying. She becomes super shy, and gives him a playful slap for saying she looks as beautiful as a 20-year-old girl. Then she stands there amazed by this, while our hero is overwhelmed. She says she knows he cooks better, but asks if he wants her to prepare a snack, since the recordings will be long, and trying to hold on to life. He says that sounds great and accepts the snack. She worries if it's okay for him to record with Yoon Jong, since it seems the guy doesn't like him, but he tries to appear unconcerned and says they are just cooking. He says that now they are all adults, so there's no reason for them to like each other. Then turns around and says he's going to the recording, but he's worried, thinking about what he can do if the guy hates him, and that if he cooks for 100 years, he might become as good as him. Besides, if he's so jealous of his skills, he should own it and live his life for himself. Sometime later, Kim Hee seems amazed by something. The woman is very happy that he shared his duck recipe. She calls him a teacher and says he's a genius, mentioning that only those who made dishes with scallops were not eliminated. He feels a bit awkward, and thinks that the atmosphere there is a bit heavy. He adds that now everyone wants to avoid using the same ingredients as him, and he laughs a little awkwardly. Someone comments that the woman is right. Then the host says that the recording is starting, and our guy wonders why he always appears. With several rose petals, he congratulates Ben Yu on his achievements and says he has the privilege of choosing the mission for the second round. He then takes a list with several options and questions whether the second round is about basic things. He thinks for a while holding it. It seems that his body is only capable of doing basic tests and not one of much endurance, and heavy things still tend to be difficult for this body. Excited, he says he has decided on this. Then he states that his choice will be sometime later. Kim Soo is skillfully chopping an onion. The judge says that the woman's skills are magnificent, but she feels a bit tense, as she mentions that it's been a long time since she chopped onions. Suddenly something catches the judge's attention, and that man is chopping the onion like a samurai. They notice that the competitor, Choi Kyung, is chopping so well that the onions are flying through the air. RMC seems curious about the situation, and he notes that the guy is chopping without even looking at the onions. The host says that he doesn't see well up close, yet he shows his incredible knife skills. Then he asks what he can see, and the competitor says he only sees simple shapes. When asked, he says he can cook by following his feelings. One of the judges claps and says he passed, and it's amazing that he can chop the onion. Without even seeing it, he gets excited, questioning if he really made it. Then, the judge gently says that he has already shown enough, and can go up the stairs, congratulating him. Thus he moves on to the next competitor, and now it's RMC's turn, who also chops the onion properly. He continues chopping that pile of onions perfectly. One of the judges says that compared to Choi Kyung, his quality is average, but he thinks he disagrees because the speed, precision of the cut and movement are all above average. In addition to being careful not to extract too much juice from the onion, he believes he is being targeted. There, a crew member holds up a sign saying to be a bit tougher, while the judge says he also did well. He mentions that the man, despite being visually impaired, did perfectly and asks if he wants to try a bit more. Everyone watches him smiling gently, and our hero returns the kindness. He thinks he is being provoked to act in a specific way. Suddenly the judge is surprised by what he sees. Benny closes his eyes and starts chopping the onion without looking. The judge becomes desperate, saying he will hurt his hand, but he grabs the knife and makes a spinning motion, continuing to chop the onions perfectly. He keeps chopping, while the onion rings fly into the bowl. Everyone around is amazed by the situation. They watch, as it seems like a divine light descends upon our guy. The host congratulates everyone who passed the second round. The next round will be a team battle, with 2 teams of 4, where the whole team either passes or fails. Everyone seems a bit unsettled by something. Then he asks why they are all so calm, since it's about to start, and tells them to hurry up. Everyone seems somewhat incredulous and confused, as it seems that the victors of this competition are already defined. Even the director is surprised by this, as it was a rookie who cooked for a few months, and has already surpassed experienced chefs, and he wonders how things will be from now on. Since RMC moved on to the next phase with more points, he earned the honor of choosing his team. First he smiles kindly and asks them to wait a minute. Then he observes some cooks on one side, and the others somewhat tense on the other side. He becomes a bit thoughtful about whom to choose. Regarding that guy over there, he thinks he has a sense that could be useful. The host says he needs to choose quickly, because if time runs out he will move on to the next. Then pointing gently, he says that those will be his team, indicating Miss Kim he as the first member. Next he chooses Choi Kyung, who is the guy with vision problems, and he builds a little suspense about who will be next, but ultimately selects Yoonjong as a member of his team. He himself seems to not understand anything inside. He thinks of him as a filthy brat for giving that kind of look after being chosen, but tries to be kind. One of the judges would like to know the criteria he used to choose his members. Benyu confesses that he didn't think much about it, but if he had to answer that question, it would be to maximize efficiency. Questioned by the judge, he asks if that arrogant kid could step back a bit, because he needs to pick one more person for the team, so he would like to ask for a favor. The guy trembles a bit, becoming somewhat tense and filled with anger. He says it's fine. Then he realizes that the guy acts this way, but has a good heart deep down. Then turning to the others, a woman raises her hand quickly. Min Seo raises her hand and says she will do her best. The others notice her there with her arm up, and everyone starts to imitate her, asking to please be chosen. The host is surprised that everyone wants to join Benny's team. She knows that if she can't get into that team, she will end up losing. The girl says that her skills might fail, but she wants to be part of the best team ever made in the competition. Our boy says he can't refuse such a request, and is looking forward to her help. She becomes a bit too emotional and thanks him a lot. After all, he saved her life. The host says that, now that he has picked his whole team, he will present the rules. Everyone must get involved in the production, and they must produce a total of 3 dishes. And now it's time to reveal the ingredients. Our MC waits curiously, building a bit of suspense. The host reveals the ingredient, and it's just a bag of flour. They start debating what they would make, and our hero thinks he prefers a dough. Minshin asks the leader what they will do, since everyone has different opinions, so as a good leader, he chooses the 3 dishes and asks if that's okay this way, but it seems that the guy with the messed up eye looks a bit disappointed. She becomes desperate because he said that so calmly, as everything she suggested was street food. Yoonjong wants to know if he has any special reason for that, but RMC responds that instead of wasting time on that, he decided something based on the team's ideas. The girl becomes desperate, because it seemed like he hadn't even thought about it. Then Yu says, it would be a bit complicated to change a team member. Now and the girl panics, saying she will do it. Then the rest of the team says that this is what the leader decided. It's decided and they need to believe in him. The girl finally gives in, but notices that all the others seem to be making fancy dishes, and she wonders if Korean street food can really win against the others. Then she approaches and makes a decision, while our hero tells them to do it with energy. Like in a song, the kitchen needs someone to coordinate all the movement. In his previous life, his temperament was quite explosive doing this, but there is a novice chef. He is kind. He asks Choi Kyung to be careful with that rice, giving some instructions to the man. He also approaches Yoonjong, giving him some instructions. Then he starts to explain the space he should create to achieve more flavor and a better texture. In addition to explaining how to neutralize the strong flavor of one of the ingredients, now he will pass some instructions to Hisuk, asking her to prepare the necessary ingredients. For the sauce, she feels a bit insecure and questions if he really thinks she can do this, but he reassures her, saying he will taste it and that she is great, making her happy and thankful to have him as a teacher. Then someone calls for the team leader. She is stirring things on the fire, asking if everything is okay, but it seems a bit strange. He is shocked by that, and internally wonders if she is making dog food. But that would be how Jamie would speak. He continues to be a novice with no Michelin stars, and needs to be wise, so he approaches her, saying it seems like she's not doing well, asking if he can show her how to do it. He takes that thing and starts to gently demonstrate. He shows the tricks to peel that food. Then with the giant shrimp, he also teaches her how to clean it thoroughly. He explains that the dough should be made with cold water, as this will give the food a crunchiness. Then he asks her to try, and the girl feels tense, yet excited, thinking he is truly a genius. Our hero is quite satisfied, as everything is going well with the team, and now he needs to focus on the flavor of everything. Strategically, he thinks that since he is in a program like this, he should use his charisma to the fullest. He then becomes a rather dramatic protagonist. He claps his hands, saying everyone is doing well, but that they need to speed up a little, and the team responds in a friendly manner. The judges comment that this team is really ahead of the others, and are surprised that he is just the son of a snack bar owner. They can't believe he could have this level of skills and experience. The host exclaims that the judges are very interested in Banyu, but suddenly he says that the atmosphere of his team doesn't seem completely positive. He returns that the alcohol from the mirin hasn't fully evaporated, and that it will need to be strained to remove impurities, asking her to do it again. He now tells Haesuk that it seems she used too much ketchup in her dish, and also didn't use shrimp powder. He also gives some instructions on how to fry those things, and Miss Min Seo responds with incredible determination. The host says that skills outweigh experience, and the chefs are accepting orders from another beginner. He adds that what they say is that they can cook however they want, but if the taste is bad, they're in trouble. He says that with time they can improve the flavor, and that they are ahead of the others, so they should trust him a little more. Then they continue cooking, following each step of the dishes, while the leader motivates them appropriately. After a while, someone rings a bell. Then he raises his hand, saying that his team's dishes are ready. The judges are quite impressed with these results. He observes from above those dishes that look wonderful. One of them starts to taste the dish, and seems to think it's one of the most delicious dishes he has ever tried, not even remembering what his mother used to make for him. He says that the flavor is truly powerful, and he didn't expect such a result in the competition. He mentions that it doesn't seem like an individual dish, but rather a journey through textures and flavors, praising the girl's frying skills, and that everything was perfect. Plus the team had great synergy, so they passed this challenge. She hugs our hero, happy that the judge liked her frying, and the other woman says she knows they won't win, because they have a great leader. The man with the bad eye says it's a great moment. The arrogant guy says he doesn't feel that way, but winning is winning. Minchin says she will take it as a sign of great gratitude, even though he is a stubborn meal. After the judges' evaluation, all 4 teams are approved, and can taste the other dishes if they want. They are impressed to see the dishes from the other team's sweet. Minchin seems to be really enjoying that tortilla, and they talk about the good flavor choices. She asks if he doesn't want to try it, but he says he's already full, so she can go ahead. She can tell just by the level of cooking that it must be terrible, but she will keep her thoughts to herself. Then suddenly the host dramatically raises his arm and tells everyone to stop. He also says for everyone to stop what they are doing right now, and shouting into the microphone, he announces that the next round will begin. He says the next mission will be to imitate the dish from the other team, and since they are already in front of that counter, they can take those ready dishes, unless the exciting team showdown is about to start. Again, there is the dish from our favorite team. Some people approach and taste it, becoming a bit worried. The host shows that no one is around. Banyu's team table, which received an epic evaluation. Judge Iran scolds everyone, saying they won't get anywhere without confidence. She says the challenge is important, even if your opponent has incredible skills. Minchin thinks it's alright, since she is on the winning team, but if she were on another, she would be in trouble. That team says they will try to make Banyu's recipe, and the judge is happy that they have that spirit of challenge. She is quite happy not to be herself, and seems to be working at home, Under her mother's pressure, the host asks if everyone has made their decision. Then excitedly he raises his arm and says, "There's one more rule. They can remove one person from the opposing team, and that person will be classified, but will not be able to cook." MC and now becomes desperate about this, thinking it's like receiving homework from her mother. The other team's members seem to have become a bit excited. Now they decide to exclude Benyu from that round, leaving our guy a bit surprised. The girl becomes very tense upon realizing that he was the one excluded from the team. She looks to the side with her cute little eyes, thinking that if it's like this, it doesn't matter since they have Yoonjong, who was originally the candidate to win the championship. So before leaving, he wants to say something. They don't need to invent anything, just improve the basic quality. Worried about his team's performance, he starts talking about the ingredients and how they should proceed. However, at that moment, Yoonjong thanks him, interrupting. Then he says that now is their time to shine. He is surprised by this and the guy seems surprised too. So what's left is to thank him and say they will wait for him in the next round. The girl thinks he is very proud, because when someone gives you a tip, you should accept it. Now that some have been excluded, the competition must continue, and you watch us from afar. Hands tied, he knows that everyone wants the spotlight to be able to stand out, and he is not the only candidate for the championship. Suddenly someone calls for our hero. Kim Soo approaches, saying it's a pleasure to meet him. He comments that he has a lot of screen time, and that depending on some factors, he could become famous. Our hero is surprised by this. He says that fame can be very good, but can also be exhausting, so he should prepare well. He shares that he has been in this industry for 10 years, and has a good intuition about the programs, believing this one will be a success. While our guy drinks, he thinks that you never know. Soon after the first episode of the challenge, the diner seems to be packed. Many people are there filming and taking pictures, when suddenly our hero opens the door, making everyone very excited. He calls for customer number 260, saying he will receive him now, but he asks him to wait a little longer, apologizing. People seem entranced, saying they could wait even 3 more hours, and that he should also take care of himself. Seems everyone is full of love for him there, and our guy feels a bit shy about it. Then he goes back inside, closing the door. He thinks he underestimated the power of K-pop, and is feeling very tired. While he observes his mother serving the dishes, he notices that his mother always seems happy, despite working a lot. Finally, night falls at that diner, and the woman seems very happy about it, but acknowledges that her son is working too hard. He says it's nothing, and asks if she needs to buy more knee pain relief stickers, but she says she still has some. Then, she takes a few things and places them on the table. She says they mentioned he has been very busy, so they left some business cards for him. It seems they are from some famous companies interested in our hero. She is curious about a dish they are discussing that is not served there, but he says it was from the TV episode. Of course he is happy to be coveted, but what he needs are Michelin stars. He doesn't have time to be a businessman, so he asks if she is short on cash. But the woman seems happy and says that for her, it is enough. This also leaves our hero quite satisfied. He comments that he is relieved about this, throwing the cards in the trash. He adds that this is not what he wants, explaining that if they rise higher, they should not fight. It hasn't been long since the episode aired, but it is already a huge success. RMC received several proposals from important companies. In his past life he had experienced something like this, and at that moment, he remembers another life where he had problems. To get the stars he needs, he has to focus well, and if he takes too long, he may not have chances. A few days later, at that diner his mother was cleaning the tables, until something catches her attention. Some people enter and she says the kitchen is closed, so they feel a bit embarrassed. The guy, feeling awkward, is looking for Banu. She thinks he is one of her son's fans. That moment, RMC arrives and asks if there are more guests. He kindly asks the men to sit down, while his mother steps away, so they can feel at ease instantly. Everyone offers a business card to our hero. They say they really wanted to meet the young man. One of them is an executive chef from a hotel, and after seeing his program, he became very interested in recruiting him. The older man introduces himself, saying he is the kitchen assistant of a second hotel, and wants to help them with their research. Lastly, the mustache man states that he is the executive chef of Dining Impress, adding that he can gain experience with his hotel. Our hero says he appreciates all of this very kindly, and he asked for some time to think, because all of this was very sudden, as he expected people would start coming in person to try to recruit him. While looking at the mountain of papers, he thinks it is difficult to make a choice. But even so, starting as a manager or a junior supervisor seems to be his only option, just like in his past life. Yet he still believes he might receive some other, crazier proposal, eventually leaving him even more in doubt. Sometime later, back to the competition, he meets with his competition team. He is very happy that everyone has passed. She says it was because of his influence. She adds that today, they are expecting a lot for the recordings to begin. It seems that the filming set is very busy, so our MC questions if there is something different today. When suddenly the lighting of the place is turned on, that presenter appears, welcoming everyone to the semi-finals of the program. And that is the moment for the new team mission, which is the mass evaluation. Thus they invited the best evaluators. The program participants are a bit shocked by what is coming. A red-haired man named Lucian Malik appears. Our hero is a bit surprised too. He did not expect to see that man there, and before reincarnating he was known as the masked demon. With 14 stars, our hero realizes that there is no need to choose an opportunity from business cards, so he decides to take this round very seriously. The presenter says that he has not received 3 stars in any restaurant yet, and that is the reason he went to Korea. The translator then passes the information to the man. He looks at the presenter assessing the situation. He says that although it is a sensitive point, it was actually an assistant who invited him to be a judge. In addition, he heard that there are many talents at that moment, and he might find a friend to help him achieve 3 stars. He questions if this is serious, and adds that, seems like this could really become a reality. RMC thinks that he has become a TV personality, and is charming as people react to his comments. He believes that if he does everything right, this might not just be a random comment. There are 2 successful competitors, and 45 masters of mass, and it seems that those numbers really catch attention. The presenter says that the 4 teams will be determined randomly. Each team must choose their dishes, but must share. And now it is time for him to announce the teams. The first will consist of RMC, along with Haesuk and also the cute Min Seol. The second team will consist of Yoon Jong, along with Choi Kyung and Choi Hyun. Then he presents the members of the third team, and also the fourth team afterward. The girl is very excited to be on the Geniuses team again, and since Yoon Jong had the best performance in the previous round, he can choose the specialty of the menu first. So he says that their team chooses pasta with seafood. The presenter says that now it is time for the other teams to choose the menu. They prefer Minshin excited. Ask the team leader what they will do. Seems that he then chooses something simpler. Spaghetti aglio e olio, leaving the girl a bit tense. Smiling kindly, he says, they will compete using the most basic of dishes. The aglio e olio dish will showcase the true skills of the competitor. Seems this could be a disadvantage for them. In a game of this type, the concern is to make a dish like this in front of the best pasta chefs in the world, and to have their reputations destroyed in front of them. The girl observes RMC worried. She asks if she should trust that praised chef again. She realizes he chose a basic dish again, and wishes him luck in this round. RMC kindly wishes her luck as well, and asks if they should start. Then a loud man makes a dramatic presentation, and says that the semi-finals are starting. Our hero tells everyone to take their respective positions. He asks Haesuk to prepare the appetizer salad, and the woman gets ready, so he says that Min Seo would take care of the restaurant, and she agrees, but there's one more thing. He asks her to be careful. He explains that it's very likely they will think of pasta with different cooking styles and other details, so she needs to be cautious about mistakes. Not making mistakes would be an advantage for them. The girl is already trembling but agrees. Our hero seems to notice her concern. He then places his hand on her shoulder, calling her name. He tells her that she is a girl with unique talents, so she should be confident, and also show her fighting spirit. Suddenly, she becomes super motivated and says she will do it. And you think, she is a girl who focuses more when encouraged, even though she looks quite flustered. With her overly red face, he is a bit pensive, and wondering what kind of food Lucian Malik would order. But thanks to his experiences from past lives, he believes he can anticipate this. All excited, Min says the dish is garlic and oil pasta with salad, and then asks how he wants it served. People start making their orders, and the girl begins to take notes. The evaluators then place orders, with a lot of detailed requests, and she notes everything down. Then she realizes it was exactly as the leader had said. They are doing this intentionally. As she was about to leave, seems, one of them would like to make a special request. For that he wants his pasta to be only 65 cooked. Lucian Malik adds that he would like all the pasta to be cooked this way. The young man says that's what he said. The girl becomes a bit tense and asks if he really wants it 65 cooked. She wonders if they wouldn't all have the same flavor. Worried, she says it won't be easy, and that they ordered the pasta in various different ways besides that 65 story. Smiling, he explains that he just needs to adjust the boiling level. After the pasta is al dente, he tells her not to throw away the water, because it should always be reused, as it will leave the pasta with more starch. Minchio asks if it's because of the oil, and the young man says yes, that it's the starch that allows the garlic to stick to the pasta. After that part it's simple. Just add olive oil and fry with the peppers and garlic. He asks for the garlic to be sliced and not crushed, as this will add more flavor to the dish. But she still doesn't understand about the pasta. Cooked to 65, thinking it might be a bit undercooked. They say it seems the request is to cook it only to 55. It looks like it's turning out quite beautiful. She says the smell is wonderful, and that the smell of cheese is the best. Our hero asks her to prepare the dishes. Then she comes carrying a bunch of plates, saying they are ready. The salads are also ready and plated. Holding that plate as if it were a treasure, she says the first pasta is ready, then asks to serve Lucian Malik. She approaches nervously, and places the plate in front of him, saying it is garlic and oil pasta cooked to 65. The man evaluates that dish. Really looks like a work of art. He is surprised that everything looks perfect, but doesn't show any reaction. Now he is curious to know if they manage to achieve 65 cooking. After all, this is a culinary survival game, so he puts that pasta in his mouth, and in the next moment he seems to be in shock. He remains silent for a few seconds, without showing any reaction. He makes a strange request. He wants all the garlic and oil pasta on his table. Ben Seo doesn't quite understand the man's request. However, he wants to taste absolutely all the pasta that was made. Sometime later, a bunch of wonderful dishes are in front of him. The people around are curious and tense. At the same time, then the man tries another one of those dishes. A girl comments that he hasn't even looked at their pasta, and the man continues tasting each one of them, without showing any reaction. He thought all those dishes would fail, but all the dishes are cooked to the same level. Moreover, the dishes are completely perfect, and there are no issues with them. He stands up, taking the plate to the other evaluators, saying they should try it and see how wonderful it is. People taste the food, and realize that the man was right. It is the best pasta of all. They all start attacking the pasta, as if they were crazy. Lucian Malik says that the flavor depends on how it is prepared, and that it is so perfect. It seems to have been made by a machine. Yet without losing sophistication, he stands up, saying that regardless of how the other teams are, this will be the first place, and he will leave the ranking of the remaining teams to the others. One of the boys raises his hand, asking for a moment. He thinks it's unfair what he is doing, besides not having tasted his pasta yet. The host starts the noise again, stoking the fire by questioning what is going on. It seems that Yoonjong is confronting the pasta demon that was about to come out, but stopped. Very excited, he asks if the boy is serious, saying that he will not lose any pasta, and he says that if he thinks he will, then he should taste that pasta. Irritated, the boy says that it's not Benny's pasta, but his own pasta, but the chef insists, saying that he will change his mind if he tastes it, and he says that the boy will have to admit that it is on a different level, because he has never tasted anything like it in his life. Yoonjong feels somewhat affronted by this statement, thinking he admits that the boy showed a lot of talent in the last round, but he doesn't want to lose the opportunity to cook with Lucian Malik just because of that guy. Moreover, that is not going to happen, so he should taste that food. And in the next moment he seems to be in shock. He appears to be floating, unable to believe what he has tasted. That thing is so delicious that it feels like it's dancing in his mouth. the oil and the herbs, make the umami spread throughout his mouth, and it makes him happy every time he chews. Devastated, he cannot believe that the son of a diner, waitress can create something so wonderful. He wonders how this is possible. Someone says that the person who can answer the questions has apparently arrived, and our hero is coming back into the kitchen. Someone comments that he shocked the judges, and that Yoonjong is arriving. Lucian Malik says that it seems he is the chef who made that pasta. Then, he questions how he learned to cook something so grand. He concludes by asking if the young man would like to work with him. The presenter is in a frenzy, saying that after just cooking one pasta, he received a job offer from the man himself, and that suddenly the son of a diner owner was noticed by a world-class chef, and that is incredible. He is getting a bit tired of so many exaggerated compliments about everything that happens on the show. Lucian Malik questions if he is reluctant, fearing being treated as a dishwasher. He confesses that he wants to place him in a new restaurant as a saucier chef, but of course if he accepts the offer, he will still have to go through a series of qualification tests. Our hero is thoughtful about that proposal. That proposal may seem unconventional, but it is a great opportunity, and he needs to think carefully. He then decides to try to throw out a bait. It's a generous offer, but he is a bit worried. He wouldn't want to leave his mother alone, and just the sauce part isn't quite what he envisioned for his future. The translator passes everything back to the man. Again excited, he says that since the young man has skills that surpass this position, he might offer a position as sous chef, but he cannot offer such a high position to a newcomer. Like that, he says that as a sous chef, he would organize the chefs in the kitchen, and asks if it wouldn't be too risky to trust this position. To the boy, Benny still intends to argue. Then he asks if by any chance he wins this competition, could he consider himself an experienced chef instead of a novice? Lucian Malik is a bit surprised by this. Everyone around is somewhat in shock as well. The presenter is again overly excited. Yoonjong seems a bit envious of him. Then the renowned chef says that he is right. Smiling, he says that he is no longer a novice, and our hero gives him a gentle smile. That boy looks incredulous as our hero negotiates with the famous chef. And finally Yoonjong, who was so confident, admits his defeat after witnessing that. Some time passes in that place. RMC is on stage with a beautiful trophy. He displays it while everyone takes pictures. Despite being disappointed, he congratulated the boy on his victory, and Benyu returned the kindness by going up to him. That was a memorable moment for our hero. When he was recognized by his first rival, someone asks if there is any memorable moment with him, and Kim, he says she feels like she has improved a lot because of the boy. She didn't expect diner food to be so wonderful, and thinks about opening one now. As for Chef Choi Kyung, he said that the old team leader was the best, and very charismatic, and he confesses that he was impressed to see his knife skills, motivating him to train as well. He says that just like the team leader, there are really high-level chefs around the world. Finally, Min Seo is also interviewed. She says she bought that because she is a true fan of him, teaching in such a caring way, and was sad to learn that he is going to France. She is also sad that she won't be able to eat his delicious food, but for Korea. Then in desperation, she grabs the camera, saying that she will visit him if he opens a restaurant in France. Seems that now, Chef Yoonjong has become the pasta chef. He said he was quite confident that he would win. At the beginning of the competition, had drawn a lot of attention and was proud. He confesses that he was irritated that Ben Yu chose the same dish as him, but the guy ignored that and continued pursuing his dreams. But he was surprised when he worked with him and realized that he is more mature and talented than he imagined. Smiling, he congratulates our hero, who will join Lucy and Malik in France, completing that it is an honor that he participated in his cooking life. Peace. Our boy thinks that he doesn't feel bad about it. The news talks about the prize he won, and also about the book with his recipes, adding that he is going to meet the chef in France. Then his mother calls for him. She goes to him and hugs him tightly, wishing him a good trip gently. He tells her to take care at work, and not to overexert herself. Then he leaves, saying he will be back later. She shouts, giving those motherly advice to be careful and eat properly. But this is the beginning of his new life, and it will be much better than his previous life. He couldn't believe he would get the opportunity to reach a Michelin star. Now he watches the plane approaching the airport, while believing that this time he will achieve his goal. Then he arrives at the international airport in France. He walks while observing everything around him. Nearby, a woman with a welcome sign catches his attention. She will be his interpreter named Lena. Sometime later they are in a beautiful restaurant. She asks him to please go inside. That moment, someone thanks him for coming from so far. Lucy and Malik also thanks him for choosing to work for his restaurant. He says that he just needs to sign the contract, and that he should like the starting salary of 70,000 euros, with possibilities for an increase. Our boy questions whether it isn't too sudden to start with such a high salary. He explains that he doesn't have a Michelin star mass restaurant and that's why he didn't visit. When he tasted his dish, he says that his deep understanding of pasta is perfect, and he offered this because the boy is essential in his kitchen. That is why he would like our boy to be the sous chef of his restaurant. Lena shows the contract, saying that it is the same one that was sent by email. Benyu notices that they hired an interpreter, and everything is in Korean, so he thinks his life there will be good. Lucy and Malik then says that there is another chef he would like to introduce. A man appears in the room, and he tells them to greet each other. He introduces him as Luke, and says that he has worked with him as a sous chef, in addition to having his own restaurant. Our boy stands up and greets him, introducing himself, but the guy seems a bit reluctant. Finally he shakes his hand, saying that he is looking forward to working with him, but it seems that the guy squeezes a little too hard. Smiling, he says that his name is Luke, and he kindly says that he hopes they get along well. Benyu, you wonder what is wrong with this guy, if he is acting childishly or what. Lucy and Malik says that he should rest today, and can take a look at the restaurant, and meet the rest of the team tomorrow, adding that his colleague, Luke, is there in case he needs anything. But our boy seems a bit suspicious of him. The girl says that now he is free to do whatever he wants, and if he needs to get to know the restaurant, she can help while they talk. Luke is on the phone with someone, saying that for a genius the boy seems quite normal. He says that K-pop is very popular these days. He must have been chosen for his cute face. He walks away talking a lot of nonsense on the phone, belittling our hero and the Koreans. The girl feels quite embarrassed by this. She asks if he would like to go to the restaurant, but our boy says that it's alright. Benyu explains that he can take care of himself, because he knows the city a bit, so she shouldn't worry. She is very surprised that he can speak French, and he says he knows a little. She becomes tense upon realizing that he understood what Luke said, and questions his French, which sounds native. He becomes a bit thoughtful about how to respond. To that he says he learned on YouTube, and it seems he is going to become the ambassador of YouTube. Sometime later, he is having tea next to the Eiffel Tower. Our hero knows that guy passed by him, as if he were just a stone, feeling quite important in one of his past lives. He was French, and cannot just pretend he didn't hear what he heard. He thinks the guy will try to set him up. He believes it would be a waste of time to have a childish fight with a guy, so he will just get rid of it sometime later. He is already in the kitchen. He seems to be organizing some things in the cupboard. Lucy and Malik says he heard that someone woke up early that day, and asks where the interpreter is. Our guy says good morning, and mentions that she went to buy coffee for him, and the boss is surprised that he speaks in French. He mentions that he was checking the ingredients, and as expected everything is wonderful. He said he wanted to see this in advance, since food management is one of his skills. Then he opens a jar and tastes it. He becomes a bit curious about the flavor he is experiencing. He says that it tastes a little strange. Lucy and Malik is quite surprised by this. They hear someone saying they will travel to America to go shopping, and that they got a day off when they were promoted, so they shouldn't worry. In addition to having secured a reservation at a very expensive restaurant, upon arriving in the kitchen, he says he needs to turn off the phone, because he needs to have breakfast to improve his mood. Lucy and Malik scolds him, saying it's not the time to relax with breakfast. The boy is surprised by the boss's reaction, and he stammers, asking what happened. He wants to know if the guy is managing the ingredients. He requested throwing that thing against the wall. He says he has to hear from his sous chef that the caviar is smelling bad. The jar falls and bounces while the boy, in shock, apologizes, saying he didn't realize it had expired. Our hero says it's strange, but that it's not expired caviar, and asks if it's not of low quality, and that maybe he is too busy with the holidays to notice this. He says he will have a lot of work to do if he can't differentiate this kind of thing. Then he says he will check the ingredients again and organize everything, and he says he will do everything before the other chefs start working, saying he will see him later. Lucien Malik is glaring at the guy. He says, seems like he is the one who needs to go to America to take some time off, and that he should do that if he needs to. It's better for him to take a vacation, and in the meantime, he will reconsider his position in the kitchen. The boy tries to argue, but the boss tells him to have a good vacation, and that it's a mess. The boy stands there devastated. Our hero thinks that he really tried to start a childish fight with him, and that he had never seen anything like it. But now that the problem is resolved, he can cook in peace, and also wait for his Michelin star sometime later. At the restaurant, several papers for leave requests. Our hero looks at them and feels a bit tense. It seems he lets out a shout in the kitchen. He was quite anxious to start, but it seems that now it will be difficult. Someone shouts, asking if the owner has banned Luke from working. For a few months everyone talks and says it's because he bought regular caviar instead of high-quality caviar. Seems the caviar wasn't that bad, but the new Korean chef noticed it right away. They comment that they will need to be more careful when picking new ingredients, because the owner will be watching, and that those guys also have something to do with it, but they think about keeping quiet and letting it roll. They believe our hero knows nothing about France, and will get into trouble. What they want is to help Luke get out of this misunderstanding. They think the owner wouldn't abandon Luke just because of something like this. He likes the boy a lot. Our hero stands there, listening to them devise a strategy. Meanwhile, he observes those leave request papers in his hands. He raises his head, thinking that this is what they have plotted, a labor strike in the kitchen. He didn't expect all of this because of this situation, and he believes that Lucien Malik is in a bad position. Now at that moment, he remembers something. It was that the chef gave Luke a look of trust and affection. Perhaps that's why he didn't cut him off immediately, and maybe he considers him family, even though he has made mistakes. Or, it might be difficult to find someone for his position. A girl asks the sauce chef what they will do now. Since they have guests at 5 o'clock, they need to focus on cooking, but the others doubt a bit that our hero can manage this. He approaches cutely, telling them not to worry. He explains that they must do this together for the restaurant to become a success, and that the others went on vacation because they don't like him, but everything will be fine. It seems they didn't even notice our boy arriving there, and they are a bit surprised that he speaks so casually. Sometime later, there are already people in the restaurant who would like to place an order. He says it's a shame the restaurant isn't full, and she would like to make another reservation. A woman at another table would also like to do that. Everyone starts commenting in the dining room that it seems the quality of the restaurant has improved a lot. That chef looks quite surprised at what is happening, and he realizes that the atmosphere there is wonderful, but he doesn't understand how our boy can cook so well without the sauce chef, and he remains calm making his food, while the guy thinks it might be because his techniques are very good, and he understands why the owner didn't panic when the other chefs went on strike. He thinks the boy is really talented, and keeps the enthusiasm in his heart. The waitress tells the chef that there is a guest who would like to meet him, so she asks him to go there please. He feels a bit awkward asking if he wants to meet him, but then says he understands. Then he waves to our boy and tells him to come over for a second. He continues wiping his hands, while the chef says it's someone who wants to meet them because of the wonderful dish. He explains that it's common in this type of restaurant for them to do this, and that the guests are not looking for him, but for the boy. He smiles kindly, thinking that the guy is quite honest, and then says he will meet with them at the table. He thanks them for visiting the restaurant, and introduces that chef, saying he was in charge of the dish, and then the woman says everything was wonderful. One of the journalists says he is the head of the program, and asks where the others are. The other says he made a reservation just for that. They talk about hearing that some chefs are on strike, but that the food has improved a lot. He comments that he came thinking it would be a mess, but but it seems the tables have turned. He mentions that events have unfolded in a very interesting way, and that now he knows what he will do. Then they stand up saying it's time to get to work, while another says it will be fun. A news report comes out that the chef, who worked there for 9 years, has left and the restaurant is booming. Someone looks at a tablet saying that Ben, you doesn't give up, despite the strike that the other employees made. Lucy and Malik watches those news reports. He tells our hero that a lot of articles came out that day. He asks if it's true that there were fewer candidates for this restaurant because of the article. The owner says it's embarrassing but true, and it seems they are avoiding it for not being traditional, but that doesn't mean there isn't a candidate. Benyu says he will make the restaurant a success, even with fewer people in the kitchen, thus attracting more people to the red table, and the previous chefs will have to bow their heads when they see the restaurant's success. Now he says, it's up to the owner to decide if they want them back or not, but first, he wants to know if he trusts him completely. Sometime later, in the interview room of the Red Table restaurant, RMC was a bit tense, thinking about the number of people who applied. That Choi Min is a former tennis player. This other one is named Daikuran. He is a junior chef, and there is also Ivatiri, the food preparer of the restaurant itself. He feels a bit embarrassed, wondering if there are only 3 candidates, but he believes the others are biased because of him. Suddenly someone arrives calling for Banyu, catching him by surprise. He said he followed the chef to France, and believes he can learn quickly what he needs about his command. Another candidate asks to be considered as well, and says the least he could do is wash dishes. Meanwhile, the girl moves between the 2 bent candidates. She says she applied because she believes he can help her in her career, since she wants to be a boss. Benyu thinks that the 3 clearly are not professionals. He said he is looking for someone with the ability to lead others and wants to know if they are willing to start from scratch. Desperate, the boy says he mentioned he would do anything, and it's true. So RMC says that's right, and she says that if he can keep his promise and take responsibility for his words, he will hire him. The 2 boys become a bit tense about this. Then they bow, saying they are willing to do anything for him, so please hire them. But the girl approaches and says please. He then says that everyone is hired, and to come back tomorrow for their first day. The boy keeps thanking him non-stop, but it seems our hero has something more to say. He says he hopes he is ready to be fired if he complains about the tasks he will receive. The boy became a bit tense with this statement, but still he gives a positive response to his boss. Then a week later, that boss approaches looking somewhat suspicious. She thinks there aren't many bosses who have done this today, and doesn't know if they will have to endure this situation for long. Suddenly something catches her attention. She wonders if everyone has returned to work already, but when he arrives in the kitchen, the scene looks like a war zone. The girl is staring at those papers, as if it were the end of the world, and the others there already look exhausted, tense. He asks if they are the new recruits of the restaurant, and what they are doing there. They stand up, somewhat scared and realizing the boss has arrived. He explains that Ben, you assign them some homework, and authorize them to use this kitchen, but it seems they are struggling, and the girl says, it's as if he has been there the whole week, without going home. He wants to know what kind of homework this is, and she says he asked for 3 dishes as a test. So far they have made those, but there's a catch. The mustache man approaches, and asks to be given the dish. Then he puts it in his mouth to taste it, but it seems there's a shock. It appears that everything there is truly delicious. He questions because everyone said they are not cooks, but everything turned out good enough to be on the menu. He suggests that they should all go home and get a good rest now, but they seem bothered by something. The boss is a bit surprised by the lack of response. Then Banyu arrives and the man questions our hero about them not having time to rest. The boy says it's true and asks for a moment's leave. Then he tastes those dishes while the others look somewhat tense. The boy seems to be having a fit. While he guards, he shouts, asking Ren if he is joking with him, saying it has the same quality as the previous day. And to Choi Min, he tells him not to worry about picking that grass, that even a starving goat wouldn't eat. Then to the girl, he says that the vegetables have no flavor at all, and to throw everything away, and she apologizes, irritated. He says that if they want him to teach, they must make food of the best quality, something very different from fast food. The 3 feel embarrassed and agree with the boss. Clapping, he asks what they are waiting for, and the man just observes this, a bit tense, completely changing his expression. He turns all gentle towards him, startling the guy, and he says there's something he needs to tell him. The man is a bit scared but waits for the news, hoping he won't be beaten like the others. Someone throws the papers on the table. The mustached man panics, questioning whether he will be beaten by the owner, or by Banyu. But Lucien Malik sees the news, speaking poorly of his restaurant, because it is in the hands of an inexperienced chef. He worries, because even though the restaurant hasn't opened yet, the rumors are spreading. Our hero says it sounds bad, but it's an opportunity for the restaurant to stand out above the others in France. The owner wants to know how this could happen. Then our MC suggests having a grand opening ceremony. Another chef panics, reminding him that they are few in the team now, for something so big. Then Banyu says he would like to know the boss's opinion on having new employees, or bringing back the strikers. Lucien Malik asks if he is crazy for talking about those newbies, who know nothing about cooking, but he says they can still show how sharp they are. And anyway, there aren't that many qualified people. He adds that he is there to say that it's not a gamble, it's a move that will ensure victory. He smiles at the man who looks a bit incredulous. Then, he mentions that this story about how sharp they are seems like a Korean expression. The owner says he believes in him, but that it still seems like a gamble, putting his restaurant at risk. But he is very confident, so he better keep his word and make this a success. Our hero smiles gently at him confidently. He then tells the man to prepare to receive a huge prize. A little before the restaurant opens, the menu was presented to the Culinary Academy students. Some participated, only because they were really curious about the rumors, but most confirmed how grand the menu was. After tasting it suddenly, someone places a box full of papers on the table, and says that if they are interested, they can send their application form now, because joining the restaurant as a young chef, they won't have to worry about washing dishes. Sometime later, plate of food is thrown straight into the trash, and he asks if they are out of their minds, saying that cooking is not about copying recipes, but about putting feelings into it. He shouts for them to pay attention to details, because this is the only way they can earn the title of chef. He apologizes for his rudeness, but is as tough as Jamie was before, and so they can close any gaps. They will create a family menu that is creative, yet cruelly perfect. Sometime later, he throws all the food away again, to the horror of his apprentices, and the work continues hard in the kitchen, chopping, frying and cooking. This way, when they show what they have, it will be the best moment of their experiences again. His disciples are there waiting for his judgment. He tastes that food again, and suddenly he is shocked by what he feels, breaking into a small smile. Now it truly has the flavor of 100 years of cooking. At another moment, reporters say that finally the day has come. Those are Tom and Jack, freelance journalists. The grand opening of the pasta restaurant. Red table inside. Everything looks extremely luxurious, and the guests chat at their tables. They notice that all the critics and journalists have been invited and believe he is quite confident, because the media can sometimes be tricky. Then one of the journalists in the duo spots someone, in particular. That man with the little mustache is named Lois Russert, and he is the top food critic in the country. They whisper that the man criticizes everything he tastes, and is the most authoritative critic there is. From a corner of the curtain, Lucien Malik appears as the host of the night. He thanks everyone who came to make that day shine, knowing all the effort it took for them to be there. They will do their best to meet their expectations, announcing what the dishes of the night will be. People get excited and clap. Then at that moment, he says they will start taking orders, but someone asks him to wait. They want to know if it is true that you can control all levels of pasta cooking. The owner gets a bit tense, thinking that the journalist is trying to embarrass him. Again then, someone raises their hand, and asks if he can show how strong that restaurant is. He says, there are thousands of pasta restaurants just in Paris, and since this is an opening, they should expect something grand from this restaurant. Asking Lucien Malik's master if he is not right, the man remains silent, very tense. The night goes on as the critic continues. Someone questions if the main dish shouldn't be a specialty of Lucien Malik. He mentions that like on the TV show, they will have pasta with different cooking levels. While the tense owner was already rehearsing an excuse to give to the people, someone emerges from behind the curtains, saying that none of this is impossible. He adds that their guests want unique and diverse dishes. They will do that, so please make their orders. One of the guests gets excited when she sees Banyu. They are very excited, saying they are looking forward to this, and that they can now taste what they saw on TV. Lucy and Malik gets tense and questions what he is doing, saying that this was unexpected. Then he says that if he fails with this tonight, he will give him all the money he earned on that cooking show. He adds that while he is in Paris, he will seize this opportunity and turn this restaurant into the best French pasta restaurant. The restaurant owner watches a bit speechless, but he adds that the price is too small for this kind of game, saying that he will need to pay 12 times more than that. But our hero is not intimidated, and even seems to enjoy the owner's absence. He thinks he could charge 100 times more, because he is completely confident in his success. Then a band with beautiful women plays, and fills the room with their music. One of the guests orders his pasta cooked to 85, and the orders keep coming in, one after another being stuck up there. He starts shouting in the kitchen that he needs potatoes, mushrooms and various other things, asking for everything to be prepared quickly. The owner approaches and questions what the plans are. He says they need to make pasta cooked from 30 to 80, so he will use 6 pots for that, and continues explaining the technique. Lucy and Malik says they need to fulfill 113 orders, and Banu agrees, although he only needs one person to supervise the kitchen. He adds that the main dish is important, and any small mistake can become a huge issue. The owner questions if the chef should then be him, but he says no. He goes to the counter, puts his hands in the dough, and says he will cook for himself. Lucy and Malik is very surprised and says they have a total of 113 orders. Then Benyu asks him to just help with the ingredients, because if any pasta overcooks, it will be ruined, and he says that in this situation, it is important for the owner to keep the chefs focused. Then he calls the attention of 2 team members, and asks them to be his assistants. For a moment the fast-paced work in the kitchen begins. A tray with 3 plates is placed vigorously on the counter, and it seems that 3 orders with 50 cooking are on the way, and another 3 with 40 are also there. Our hero moves things around as if by magic. As he works, he explains the secrets of adding ingredients and finishing cooking at the correct percentage. He asks if they heard what he said, and his assistants say yes. He then asks them to stay at the pasta stations, and to hand them to him as soon as they are ready. A beautiful dish seems to be almost ready, and he takes a little to taste. It seems to need just 1 more minute to be ready, but since it will still be fried, it will need 3 minutes. Orders 7 to 10 are all at 70 cooking, and he comments on another that asked for 85, and one more that asked for 60. While preparing the dish, he thinks that it has never been easy for him to control the cooking level, because any extra second can ruin it. He adds a little garnish to the plate, while thinking that this is why he focused on this technique throughout all his 100 years in a kitchen, and that if he calculates the time, the pasta continues cooking with residual heat, he can serve it 2 minutes earlier on the plate. Then he rings that little bell on the table, and excitedly says that the time is now, and that the most important part will begin. The servers start delivering the plates, and this one is a pasta with tomato cooked to 57. The critic watches this excitedly. Finally he takes the initiative and grabs the cutlery, tasting that food all at once while eating. He wonders how this is possible. They order dishes with a 3 difference, and thought they would be the same, but they can feel the difference between the 2. While eating he thinks that this doesn't make sense, and something catches his attention. The critic approaches and asks what cooking percentage he ordered. Not understanding, one of them replies that it was 70 and the other 73. Then he quickly approaches, steals a bit of the food, saying he understands. Another reporter looks somewhat incredulous that he stole his food, he thinks. The critic is surely shocked by the difference in each pasta. Then he asks the guys not to tell him, and points to that dish over there, saying it is garlic and oil at 73, and this other one is a tomato pasta at 70. Then he turns abruptly and says they can eat a bit from his table, since he stole his food. He says his meal is already ready, because he has already taken the first bite, leaving the 2 guys stunned. He says he needs to write a review about this soon. The 2 reporters are left confused. He explains that the tomato pasta at 84 doesn't need to start at 10, and can be made by frying the tomato sauce, so that the sauce doesn't cook beforehand. They need to stir everything very quickly, and the chefs confirm. More orders are made for pasta with 60 cooking. The owner becomes a bit tense for not seeing the critic anywhere, and the journalists are already pulling out their notebooks. Feeling a bit relieved, he thinks that everything is going well, and he feels happy about it all, especially to see that bunch of guests. Happy and smiling, the attendant approaches the owner and asks him to look at that thing over there. It seems that an article about the new restaurant has already been published, and he feels a bit tense about it. Lucy and Malik realizes that that piece was written by Louis Rushard. In the news, he is surprised to see that he is being recommended as the best restaurant. He pushes the tablet back to the girl, leaving her surprised, and he walks away without saying anything. While she calls out to him, he approaches a dish where the pasta is cooked to 40, and he checks several others with different cooking levels. He is shocked to realize that all of them have a fine precision control. Doesn't seem like something done by a genius, but rather something done by a superhero, and he questions how on earth he manages to do that. Then a few days later, the door of that restaurant is crowded. Some boys comment that it is the famous Malik restaurant, and another one says he heard there are several wonderful chefs there. A woman approaches, catching their attention, and she apologizes, saying that all reservations are full for a month, leaving the boys shocked since it just opened yesterday. She walks away, leaving them chatting there, thinking that they will have work today. Then entering the restaurant, he hears someone pleading with the owner. Two people say it was their fault and ask for another chance, saying they only asked for a vacation to rest a bit. Without caring, he sends them home, because many chefs have already signed up for the position. He pleaded, saying that his wife will give birth to their second child. When someone approaches saying that they are a disgrace, he says there are several restaurants that would accept them, so why not insist on this one yesterday? He tells Eva that she is not in a position to interfere, but she corrects him, saying that this is the perfect moment to do so. Then she provokes him, saying that he should know that his position now belongs to her, urging him to give up soon, and she gives a tip that when he goes to another restaurant, he should respect the team more. The owner is a bit surprised by this attitude. Lucy and Malik says that she is right, that they cannot afford to have employees like that in their restaurant. He adds that the French tradition he likes is now dead. Slamming the door, he tells them to have a great day, and that he has done a great job for a long time. The owner reads a newspaper and finds a lot of good news there, speaking very well of the restaurant. Lucy and Malik is quite pleased with this. Seems like it has been a while since he saw a good article, and the two behind him are satisfied that he is happy. Then he receives the news that all reservations for a month are full, and that it will probably continue that way. Benyu says that this is good for now, but it decreases the chance for others to evaluate the restaurant's reputation. He explains that Michelin inspectors pretend to be customers, so he suggests keeping the reservations to a minimum, so that this can happen. The owner says that he is right. They need to arrange everything in a way that the inspectors can come there. She becomes thoughtful and realizes that this is important and makes sense. Taking advantage, he discovers that an order from the USA has arrived for him. Opening it, he sees a beautiful set of knives. They seem to be very expensive German knives, sent by a chef from the Felizio restaurant named A. Thompson. Lucy and Malik feels uncomfortable, because he never expected that guy from Las Vegas to be keeping an eye on his chef. The girl says it is a famous place, full of casinos and five-star hotels. Generally, it is where important people invest in expensive restaurants and hotels, and rumors say that the money invested in restaurants usually comes from casinos, and it seems that great chefs walk around with security and luxury cars. But she asks about the letter she received as well. RMC starts reading and is a bit surprised by it. In the letter, they invite him to the food festival in Las Vegas, and would like to taste the same flavor he had at their restaurant's opening. In addition to being able to share this with his colleagues, they hope that after reading this, he can fulfill their request. Our hero then begins to recount what he said, but the guy is a bit sulky. He smiles kindly, saying he wants to tell the owner what the letter says. and calls for him, and the guy says it is a very interesting festival that he should attend, but he fears that the boy won't return. MC tells him not to worry, assuring him that he will not leave the restaurant until he earns a Michelin star. He feels a bit sad and questions whether he will leave them when they earn a Michelin star. Benny says yes, but he also wants this restaurant to receive as many stars as possible. The owner feels a little better about that. Then he says it's better that he presents an amazing offer so they can reach that point. Sometime later, a girl walks through the airport. Nearby, it seems, a man with a sweet sign has the name of our hero. Those guys look a bit strange, with their cute little ears, and a sign saying that Benyu is the best chef. When he sees that, the young man seems unable to believe it, and he can't believe they came to receive him. Dressed like that, it seems quite embarrassing. The excited man waves at him, saying they prepared a very Korean welcome reception. They say they will take him to the hotel now, and our young man kindly thanks them. He sits in the car and feels a bit surprised. He thinks he is in a Rolls-Royce. Just 6 months after his reincarnation, he is quite curious about the city. Seems everything is fine, and he is curious to know what the future holds. Besides being excited about the festival, he is quite determined to seize every opportunity he has in that land. Sometime later, they arrive in front of a luxurious hotel. A person approaches, welcoming Ben. He introduces himself as Chef Thompson, who invited him, and says he hopes he is enjoying the accommodations. Feeling a bit nervous, he tries to be polite, and says it is an honor to meet him. The young man comments that he knew he spoke English, but not as a native, and is impressed by his versatility. He explains that what he said is true, and wants to give his team the opportunity to showcase the quality of their dishes, and he would like him to be a one-day instructor. He explains that the event will last 4 days, and the second night is called the Grand Tasting, where they will sample dishes from various chefs. He then suggests that he make that pasta he prepared for him last time, and Banyu thanks him for the opportunity, saying it will be an honor. He mentions that he will receive exquisite service there, and other chefs will cook for him. Our hero, impressed, asked if it will be now, and the man says yes because he is a VIP there. Our young man says that if possible, he would like to see the kitchen. His host says that's fine, but asks if he isn't tired from the trip. Benyu, all excited, says he is very curious to see what the kitchen of such a luxurious hotel is like. Thompson finds his enthusiasm quite charming and points the way, but our hero thinks he doesn't want to meet the team, just the kitchen. Thompson is excited to show him everything, and our MC wonders if it's because he acts like a cute child. Meanwhile, in the kitchen, something is being prepared. He asks if they are making ribs. It really looks very good, and it is an honor to be treated that way. He asks Chef Ben to taste it and give some advice, since being Korean, a native's tip could be useful. Kindly, he says that if that is what Chef Thompson wishes, he will do it so our favorite cook tastes it, and he seems shocked when he feels the flavor. Everyone around gets just a little tense, waiting for his opinion, desperate. They want to know if there is anything they can do to improve. The chef suggests talking with Ben in a calmer and more respectful way, and the cooks agree, excited. He says that if the piece of meat is too big, he could give him this set of knives. Tense, he thinks it is strange to be treated like this so early in this life. He comments about braised ribs, while thinking it must be a sign of good luck. A banner announces the lecture he will give about cooking. He says that many people think a dish is good because of the ingredients, but he feels that the overall elegance of a dish makes it more flavorful. Now they will move on to the pasta part, but he will leave that for the next lecture. The head chef claps his hands, saying everything was excellent. Our young man feels flattered by the compliments, since there would be no Korean dish at the next day's event. He asks if he would make ribs for them. He feels embarrassed, since that was Chef Thompson's kitchen. Suddenly our hero feels a bit strange, and in the next moment he is in the kitchen, thinking that everyone finds his personality odd. A young man brings the marinated meat he asked for, and he thanks him. He thinks he never expected the sous chef himself to help with that Chef Thompson stand, and his students really draw attention. Something also catches our hero's eye. 2 guys are cooking, but they seem a little tense. Those are Henry and Jerry. These guys are also doing well. They are the brothers he bonded with and cooked alongside in Dubai, and they have 9 Michelin stars, but that was not in this new life, and now he needs to get closer to them and wonders how he should make contact. something leaves him a bit surprised. A man argues with them, because one of them was taking too long with that fish. Then the young man apologizes, and the man asks if he expects him to cook it himself. Our hero approaches and apologizes for interrupting. He says he is there to borrow a pair of scissors. The man just stares blankly at him. The man tells someone to forget it, and hand the scissors to the young man. He asks if Chef Ben is visiting Chef Reggie's stand. One of the young men looks a bit surprised. He thinks it's the best chef in Las Vegas, and our hero says he is only there to borrow some utensils. And the boy feels honored that the chef is there, and wonders if the other could be the famous chef. Then he finally hands over the scissors. Our young man offers to help with the fish preparation. The boy is surprised by this offer. The chef is surprised that he knows how to clean that fish, but Chef Ben explains that it is something common in Korea. He then cheerfully calls for Chef Reggie and asks him to help prepare his ingredients. The man doesn't even turn around to respond. Our hero is surprised by something, and he thinks it happened at just the right time. That man was his teacher in his second life, and his name is Gordon Reggie. He wonders if this is because he changes the future every time he reincarnates, and there have been times he became famous in his past lives. But there were also those times when he couldn't achieve any kind of fame. But there is one man who always has a place in his heart. Then someone arrives saying they heard Ben. You was there, and he kindly says it's a pleasure to meet him. That Gordon Reggie, his culinary skills are unquestionable. So the chef asks if he knows about monkfish, and he says they will make a dish with this flavorful fish, vegetables and herbs, and they will also make a mango pudding for dessert. He realizes they want to make very simple dishes, but with exceptional quality. People comment that the man behind Chef Thompson is Chef Banu. Then Thompson asks if those there can clean the fish for them, and the young ones confirm. A bit tense, he notices that those young people are new in the kitchen, and asks their names. Our young man steps forward and says they are named Henry and Jerry, and he comments that they are working very hard. As he was watching from there, Thompson seems to trust his word, while our hero's idea was to leave a good impression on them. They thank him. When the chef says he will remember their names, Thompson says he still can't show him how they cook, but hopes he enjoys watching. Excited, he asks if it's their first time cooking Western-style food. The young ones agree, while he takes the lead and starts to show that instead of a knife they should use scissors, which surprises the duo. He explains that it's great for beginners who are not yet comfortable with it. He starts explaining the parts of the fish that will not be used. Then he opens it, showing everything inside that must be removed. He continues explaining how this method can be easy. They thank the chef, saying they learned a lot today, and our hero replies that it was nothing special. Then it appears that those brothers will never forget him. Now he needs to find the rest of the team members. He walks through that luxurious place. Some very beautiful dishes are served, and some excited girls take pictures of it. Then upon tasting that dish, seems they have a shock. They get very excited because it is extremely delicious. The team members praise our hero, thinking it's great to have him there. To make the main dish, the man asks him to look at all those people in front of the booth, who are all there to eat his food. Despite being excited, it seems they are too much for them to handle. He observes those excited people from a distance. This leads Anthony to think they should have more meat, and the young man is surprised by this, because they don't have enough meat for the rest of those people. The young man rushes in, saying they have a problem. There are too many people there, and they need more ingredients. Benny smiles, telling him not to worry. He has already placed an order for more meat, while the young man arrives carrying everything. But it seems there is something more to it. He says that this meat is perfect for grilling, but not for steaming. Moreover, they cannot just keep those people waiting. The young man then asks what they should do. At that moment, our MC says they should change the menu. The team member gets a bit tense about changing everything like that, questioning if he prefers something quick to make. He says there's a saying that anything tastes delicious if it's fried before frying. They will prepare it to have a crispy texture. Using eggs, they will also use breadcrumbs and fry it properly at a high temperature. Then with that ready, he starts cutting on his board. It shows that inside it is nicely pink, and outside it is crispy. The people around think it looks wonderful, questioning how they can cook it so evenly. It seems that's not all. The flavor and the sauce are wonderful too. Someone asks if he is sure. The dish was made by the chef of the pasta restaurant, and wants to know his name. And his name is Banyu, a Korean chef. Upon arriving he asks how the taste is. The older man wipes his mouth and says, "Really? This is really good." He is called Matsuhiro Nobu, a chef with 3 Michelin stars. RMC says he is happy he liked it, thinking he only has 3 stars. But there's another reason he came there, and it's that person over there in the back. A woman tastes the food and seems to enjoy it. Then she waves her hand calling for the chef. A little flushed she asks how he made this. That girl is named Cameron May. He knows she was in charge of one of his restaurants. In his past life there are Henry, Jerry and now also May. Smiling, he explains that it's not difficult, and excitedly thinks he has already found 3 people. One person says that Thompson really has a good eye, and he tells the president that it was nothing. He thinks it was a great choice, and has nothing to do with modesty, and it was nothing more than what was expected from the man he entrusted with this job, so he will raise his salary. Everyone at the table is emotional now. He wants to start talking about Ben, you and how they can make him work there. Thompson says he has been thinking about it, but there is a catch, and it won't be easy to achieve this, but he is a person who cannot be captured. He says, the young man is truly a genius and a hard worker, but the director says that doesn't really matter, because whether he is a genius or not, as long as they take him there, for them who have received numerous Michelin stars, in their countless hotels, luck may smile again, and it doesn't really matter how much it costs, because this is not just a great opportunity for them, but for the company as well, so they will make sure to get the young man back. At the Red Table restaurant in Paris, there is a large list of emails on the screen, emails from the general manager of a hotel, a YouTuber and also from a Japanese restaurant. Benyu asks about one in particular, and the guy says it's from the Palacio Hotel. He says, they offered him twice his salary to create a menu, but there's something about that. Seems that 3 times his salary would be more reasonable. Lucy and Malik keeps repeating to himself that it's 3 times, at least 3 times. RMC says that it's clear he wouldn't be asking for a raise. The restaurant owner says he knows he's not there for the money, so he wants to know what he wants. Smiling, he says it's about the next restaurant he wants to open. He would like it to be in his name. Lucy and Malik feels a bit tense and shocked by this proposal. It seems the other guy there is having a fit, questioning him, but he says it's all right and they can continue. Then the guy says he understands, but apologizes, because he doesn't have plans to open a new restaurant. Right now that restaurant isn't stable yet. He can't afford a new one, but our guy says it doesn't have to be exactly now. He just wants his name on the next restaurant, and if he trusts him he will be a good restaurant owner. He says, this restaurant can continue with the same quality, and he guarantees he will do his best to stabilize it. Then he smiles kindly at the restaurant owner. Lucy and Malik confesses he feels a bit embarrassed, commenting that he has received many proposals via email, and if he gets a chance maybe he can be like the guy. But modestly he says, he's not a professional who compares to Lucy and Malik, so he is eager to learn something new from him, leaving the man surprised. Then he stands up and says that, regardless of the reason, Lucy and Malik seems genuinely grateful for the chance to have hired him, and thanks him very much. He says that Mesa Vermelha, Ban Yuyan, seems to serve very well as a name. During the night at the restaurant, seems they are still working. Lucy and Malik asks how long it will take to finish the pasta dishes, and our hero says if he had to guess, it would be about a month, leaving the owner shocked. He is incredulous, even though the guy's skills are great, but Banyu says that if he stays a month there, could happen, but it seems there's little time left before winter, and that could be a problem. He still hopes everything happens soon, if he can open the first restaurant with the guy's name, and you thinks that with these 2 restaurants, he might end up getting at least 2 stars. Lucy and Malik is worried about the chef, who could manage everything, but our cook says he has already selected some talents. The owner is surprised by this, but Benyu says they will arrive soon. Curious, he wants to know who the 3 are, because he doesn't understand anything. And smiling, Benyu says that as always, he doesn't need to worry, he just has to trust him. Sometime later, May, the student of Chef Matsuro Nobu, arrives at the place, along with Jerry and Henry from Las Vegas. All 3 bow, saying they are eager to work there, while the chef awkwardly says it's a pleasure. It seems that now Lucy and Malik is a bit more relaxed, knowing they are candidates who have already worked in important kitchens. Our hero says they have all worked, yes, but they are beginners, so he can't say anything more about them. At this point, the restaurant owner becomes worried again. Lucy and Malik asks if he is joking, but our guy says it's no joke. However, smiling gently, he says he should trust him with this. In Korea there is something called the lottery, where if you guess 6 numbers out of 45, you win the lottery, and our hero says that from now on, for teamwork he will call them lotto. The girl questions if it's because there are 6 of them, and then the guy says that's one reason, but there's another, and that's because they trust him, as they were all chosen, because they have great potential. Stammering, they question if they are talking about them, and May says they were lucky. Then Banyu says he hopes for their cooperation, even when the training is a bit tough. And the group agrees, while she thinks she can't believe she will learn directly from Chef Banyu. And quite happy with the situation, she thinks she will do her best. Sometime later RMC calls her by name, while they throw food directly into the trash, and says he can't believe trash has a place in his kitchen, so he wonders why that is there. He tells her to write down what he is going to say, and she, motivated, prepares herself. Or maybe next time, she will be thrown in the trash along with her plate. While he smiles kindly, everyone cries and panics in the place. He thinks the training might be a bit tougher than they expect. The idea is that when they overcome that heavy training, our guy tastes that and seems satisfied, smiling. He says it's something worth eating, and the staff starts jumping with joy. Then they will feel a true sense of accomplishment with what they have learned. A person introduces himself, saying he is the chef of the Chateau restaurant, and his name is Pyrong. The chef says it's a pleasure to meet him, but the man replies that he knows very well who he is. It seems he brought his students for a little break, leaving the chef a bit surprised. They actually want to taste some dishes from a Michelin-starred chef and study them. That chef seems humble and says he doesn't know if his dishes can be considered a study. He asks the chef to observe and calls one of his students. He explains how mushrooms lose part of their flavor when in contact with water, and how to solve that. Then he calls for May, who responds promptly but a bit anxiously. He asks the girl to evaluate that dish, and she questions if she sensed something, like honey or grapes, explaining the process. But one of the twins says she forgot something and could talk about the onions in the wine sauce, while the other mentions she also saw carrots. The local chef chuckles. Then our guy asks if the information is correct, and the chef excitedly says yes. He mentions he has heard a lot about him and his students, when suddenly a member of his team rushes in and whispers something in his ear, leaving him a bit worried. He apologizes to Banyu, saying something happened, and the young chef replies that it's no problem, but he wonders why he had to leave so quickly. It seems something is happening at table 11. They are very well-dressed people, who seem to have ordered a lot of food. They ordered sides and main dishes, as well as 2 bottles of wine. Banyu thinks that perhaps they are testing the chef's creativity. Then the girl from his team asks, "What's wrong?" He says it's nothing, but sooner or later, a Michelin star inspector will come to see them. An inspector like that does not reveal their identity in public. To ensure they receive the same treatment as other customers, they go from region to region, and it seems they are in Paris today. He thinks that restaurant is only 100 meters from his. He looks from the door into the dining room, and thinks it was as expected. One of the team members asks if he is sure an inspector will come today, and our guy confirms. They seem a bit tense because of this, but Benny tries to reassure them, saying they have been trained with the best method in the industry, and no other restaurant can match their skills. So he asks if they understand. He asks them to just trust the process, and to start cooking now. They have only one order, and Ben, you will take care of it personally, asking them to bring the rest of the sides before serving. May tells him it's an order for a bottle of wine. The atmosphere heats up, and in the kitchen, the idea is to cook quickly with those ingredients. In the next moment, the dish is ready to be plated. Then the order that was placed arrives at the table, which is pasta with basil pesto. They are impressed, questioning if it is as tasty as it is beautiful. Then one of them says to try it. They taste that wonderful dish together. It seems the people at the table are super impressed, and our hero congratulates everyone in the kitchen. However, inside the kitchen, the atmosphere is one of despair, trying to lift their spirits. He says it was a great job, but at that moment the receptionist calls for him. She says there are guests who want to see the chef, who prepared the food. Then He wonders if they want to see him, to say they received a star. But of course receiving the star is not the only goal. He also needs to open his restaurant soon, and once he does that, he will need to invest for it to grow. Looking at the computer, he wonders if there is a broadcaster, and it seems, it's a chef from the American network's program. He greets them as he approaches the table, while thinking that everything is going as planned. He says his name is Benyu, and he is the chef of the Red Table restaurant, thinking that he would like to earn 4 stars all at once. At night in the restaurant, someone gets excited, asking what Chef Ben is trying to say, asking if they received 4 stars in the spring. That is coming. It seems these are his plans, and he wants to achieve that. Lucy and Malik gets a bit tense, wanting to know the operational details, and our hero says he will first organize the kitchen. Even with a small team, they focused on this instead of increasing sales. He believes there will be enough to fill the restaurant's seats. The owner thinks there's no problem with this, but wants to know about the restaurant's publicity. Benyu says he doesn't believe he needs to promote the restaurant himself and shows him something on his phone. He shows that it's an invitation to a TV show. He mentions that the owner should know more about the program, since he has already participated, and he becomes curious, wanting to know if the boy was invited. Then it seems he has something more to say to our young man, smiling. He asks if he can expect something really big, and our chef says yes. Then he points to himself, saying he should trust him. Stephen Lee is the host of the show, and the chef welcomes him. RMC introduces himself as well, saying it's a pleasure. He mentions that it's been a while since he met Lucien, and the man agrees. He says he won't waste their time, and will get straight to the point, asking if our young man is familiar with the program. The boy says yes, mentioning that it's a documentary that follows the daily life of a chef. The show, called The Chef, is ranked 10th in the United States, and is quite famous, but he wonders if someone new like him, without experience, could appear on the show. And the host says he saw him in Vegas, a 20-year-old boy, who shone among the best chefs in the world, and it was truly impressive to see an Asian chef shine in a Western kitchen. Benyu says he is really happy, but thinks about not mentioning the people who greeted him poorly upon arrival and departure. The host asks if he is thinking of opening a restaurant, and our young man confirms. Then he asks if he is interested in having them follow the process of the genius chef opening his own restaurant, and how crazy it would be for this chef to win everyone over. Then excitedly asks what he thinks. Lucy and Malik and the host chat a bit animatedly, and it seems he hasn't changed at all. He finds the host idea interesting, but wants to include the restaurant Mesa Vermelha in the videos as well. In this way, he could show him promoting the restaurant Mesa Vermelha too. The two become a bit tense with this idea, and he wonders if something is wrong. But actually, the host says the boy is more insightful than he is, and that it's a great marketing idea. It seems everything is already settled there, and he is quite eager to work with our young man. Then the two shake hands, while Benyu says he is also looking forward to it, that everyone is excited for this to happen. Lucian Malik says he would like to extend his gratitude to the Korean production team, because without them he would never have met Benyu, and the way he cooks is a great inspiration for everyone. Those chefs who were in Las Vegas were surprised. The man then says he will speak again. Benyu, this young Korean man, he is a genius chef who will shake up the culinary industry, not just in Europe, but around the world if given the chance. And if they want to taste his food, he advises them to visit him. The restaurant Maze of Ramallah seems to be packed. Some dishes are served to the customers, and they are truly beautiful. The girl explains the processes used for the tuna, and the customers are impressed. They comment that it was really worth going to the restaurant, and it's even better than when they saw it on TV. Our hero notices that there are many customers since the restaurant opened, and so far everything has been calm. And as long as everything continues to be calm, all they need to do is wait for the stars to come. Then May, a bit startled, calls for our young man. She asks if he is waiting for someone, because she says someone from TV is there, and Benyu wonders if they couldn't just wait. But May says it's from the show he is going to participate in. Then he changes his mind and replies that he is on his way, and the girl smiles in agreement. He goes while wondering if Stephen decided to say hello, or something similar, but it seems there's another person there. He greets Banu, leaving him a bit surprised. The guy introduces himself as Brandon, and says he is from the entertainment division of Box, which is the channel of the show. Our young man thinks he didn't expect that person to show up so early in his life. He approaches and says it's a pleasure to meet him, introducing himself, and thinks that when it comes to him, he is the destroyer. It seems he has finally returned, and he is the one who brings ruin to everything. Looking at the young man, he thinks of his name Brandon. Seems that the show, with the last table, will be launched soon, and several famous people from various countries will participate, such as baseball players and others. The man says that to contextualize the program, he will serve traditional foods from different countries. He shows a document with the program's panel and the celebrities who will participate. Benyu realizes that the explanation of the program is quite different. Seems like it was meant to highlight their restaurant. In the last table, they intend to use the names of famous people and chefs to attract the audience's attention. But in reality, it is a program that manufactures and sells instant foods using recipes from renowned chefs. There is something wrong, as they did last time, placing all the blame on the chef. And that is exactly what they did to him in one of his past lives. The young man explains that if he joins him, he intends to launch the first episode at the beginning of the year. He explains the matter, preparing many things for the program, and then it will take a little time. So our young man interrupts him. Brandon becomes a bit curious about what he will say, and Banu says he will join the program because it seems like a great opportunity for him. That man gets very excited, saying he was hoping for this and that it is great. Plus it will be an opportunity for their chefs. Benyu remembers his past life and says he is eager to do this, and he thinks he will show him how he was when he was Jamie in his past life. That is the last table, the food that perfectly matches the tastes of the locals. This is the theme of the third Korean food competition, and now he will introduce the judges. That is Ryu Hong, a player from the Major League, and the other from the Premier League named Ju Hong, and the last guest who has 2 Michelin stars, Joel Lin. It seems that guy is the development consultant for an advertising company for this program that sells instant food. The host asks which chef he is most looking forward to tasting the food from, and he promptly says Banyu. He mentions that he heard he didn't do well in the last competitions, and hopes that the food he makes from his own country will be unique. People wonder what he is talking about, since the boy's reputation has always been good. He comments that Indian curry and Japanese food are the best. Benyu believes that guy is trying to get him out of the program quickly, so he needs to be careful. The host then says that the program will start, and he changes his mind, thinking that this is actually an advantage. He wonders if Brandon and Joe Ellen were mentioned, and if they are ready to deal with him. This is a battle between talented chefs who express love and passion for cooking. She introduces it by saying that this is the last table, and today's menu is Korean cuisine. And speaking of which, they will have this Korean chef known as Banyu. Today the dish he made for them was bulgogi. The host questions whether he will be able to win the challenge. They taste it and are impressed, because they never thought it would have such a delicious flavor. And they comment that they are very happy to be there and to have tasted this. That other guy says that as a Michelin-starred chef, he needs to say it is tasty, but that it is not completely Korean, and that it is called bulgogi, but it is just a Korean name, and does not have the overall Korean flavor. He says that Banyu is successful in Europe, but cannot make a dish from his own country well, and he asks with that arrogant look if he is not correct on the phone. The video shows a notice that the will continue. He thinks that the editing team worked hard. Someone approaches to see what he is watching, and he says it is just the preview of the program. Lucian says that Joe Ellen is really a character, but that today he will have problems, because if Benyu got a star, and the other young man laughs, saying it will be quite embarrassing if he gets a Michelin star. That is why the chef should never be crazy for money, as a restaurant that has only that as its goal never ends well. And for those who were invited to the Michelin Guide of 2023, welcome. Today is the long-awaited day of the Michelin star distribution. It is finally time for the presentation, and you thinks he has gone through this moment many times in his reincarnations, but still feels nervous first. he will present a Michelin star. And RMC thinks this was the life in which he succeeded the fastest. So the first is Chef Raymond's restaurant Debbie. The guy is upset for not being called, but Lucien says that maybe he is reserved for more than one star. That chef goes up there and receives congratulations from the presenter. Now, he will proceed to restaurants with 2 Michelin stars, and the respective chefs behind them. He gets excited saying that it's the first time that restaurant has received a Michelin star. Then he announces the restaurant called Red Table, and everyone gets excited about it. Lucy and Malik is very happy, and asks if they heard that, while another chef stands up and tells him to go. Everyone is very happy saying they managed to do that, as Chef Ben had said. But the presenter asked them to wait, because it's not over yet, and mentions the name of the restaurant, followed by Banyu, and saying that both received 2 Michelin stars, and this leaves everyone very surprised. He is quite emotional, thinking that the youngest chef in the world received 4 Michelin stars, and at the beginning of a new era. RMC goes up on stage quite happy with his achievement. The presenter congratulates Banyu. He thanks him very kindly. Then he asks if he could use the microphone for 5 minutes. The presenter is a bit unsure of what to say, and he says that there's just one thing he needs to say. To the senior chefs, the presenter isn't very confident, but says it's fine, since it's him climbing up to the podium. He clears his throat to begin. Then he says that to all the respected chefs there, they know him as a young man who started cooking, but he says that everyone would agree that cooking is like an art, yet in reality cooking is even more than that. Each chef has their own description of what cooking really is, and always strives to develop their art. Recently he participated in a TV program that has the potential to help aspiring chefs. However, during this recent program, he saw the pride and future of chefs being trampled. He explains that they steal recipes from chefs to produce and sell instant food, and new chefs go there without any idea of what's happening. They use the chat as entertainment, and when it ends, they are discarded like ashes. So he asks the young chefs, who have a vision for the future of cooking, and have been sabotaged by the program. He continues to show what they can really do, and asks the senior chef to please help them achieve their goals. Someone starts clapping in the audience, and says that the chef is right, while our hero wonders who that is, and it seems like someone with more Michelin stars. He is Pierre Huffman and says that, as Ben said, they cannot allow the program to threaten the young chefs, who have worked hard. He offers a toast, saying that it's to show what they have for the future of cooking, and for aspiring chefs. Everyone in the room seems to have gotten excited, and they raise their glasses together, saying that this is for the young aspirants. Our guy feels satisfied with that. Several news articles come out in the newspaper, talking about our hero, about chefs abandoning the program. Last table, someone shouts, asking Brandon what he will do about this, and he says he will fix things as soon as possible. He shows the laptop screen, questioning how he would fix this kind of thing. There, the judge of the program is humiliating our hero for having 2 Michelin stars, and says that episode will air the next day. So he wants to know how he will correct and edit that. You know how they will feel about this, because there are many people complaining about it now, and he says there's no way to fix this. They can only cancel the program. Brandon tries to argue about it, but the man gets angry, asking if he's gone mad, and adds that all the Michelin star chefs in Paris supported Banyu, and because of that their reputation was destroyed. He wants to know how he will now calm the people watching that program. A news report comes out, saying that the Last Table program has been cancelled, and that Brandon and Joe Ellen have resigned from the company. Lucien says it seems they underestimated their young chef. He asks what the young man's next goal is, saying that it wasn't luck, he just proved it for himself. Just laughing, he says he wants to locate himself in the most luxurious place in the country, requiring to put his name on the most luxurious hotel. There he explains that he heard that hotel went from 3 stars to 2, and it's called All Seasons Hotel. He just received an invitation, saying they are looking for a new chef. It's a Palais hotel in France. Luxurious hotels are called Palais. All luxury hotels of Palais level are located in that area called the Golden Triangle, and that one is one of the best hotels in France. He stops in front of that magnificent place, thoughtful, and he thinks that it has been quite a while since he last saw him. The receptionist asks if he has a check-in. Then, he explains that he is there for the chief position. Scheduled for 2 a.m. Man asks him to follow him, saying he would guide him. So we walk together through that magnificent hotel. Through a double door he indicates that it's that way. Our hero seems satisfied with what he sees. And it wasn't just him who was invited. A gentleman says that as expected, it was Chief Banyu, and comments that he heard he was coming. The older man is named Owen from the United States. Our young man kindly says he knows him, and that he has 17 stars, saying it is a pleasure. The man kindly says that there is no need for such flattery, and that he is the one who is the topic of the news. At the moment, he apologizes for asking him something so suddenly, and inquires if the invitation was in a black card. Then he seems a bit confused and shows if that is it. He explains that as expected, he received the black card, but some did not receive it, and that varies from person to person. Our MC becomes curious and asks what he means. My black card means that he is a very strong candidate. Sometime later several chefs are in a place, with various kitchen counters, and a man with a microphone and well-dressed enters the place. He greets everyone, while our hero wonders who the hell that guy is. The guy says, there will be no host for the hotel competition, and it seems to be exactly that loud presenter. From the beginning of the story, he is amazed to see that our hero is there. Then he takes the opportunity to introduce the judges of the competition, but thinks everyone already knows them. He introduces Chef Marion Bourget and Chef Jean Louis. It seems that one of them is the MOA winner. They're in France, and Jean Louis has already received a Michelin star for this hotel since they don't have much time. The presenter gets straight to the point, saying that he knows some received black cards. Those who received the black card will be the chef today, and they must use the ingredients in front of them to make the best dish possible. Seems it will be a tough competition, since the ingredients are scarce, but he is curious about the people who did not receive the cards. Then, the guy says that those who did not receive black cards will be the assistants of the chefs, asking if they can start. They have 15 minutes now to form a team, and after that, they will have an hour to cook the best they can. Making a bit too much noise, the man shouts that the competition has begun. A little tense because he doesn't know if the chef who will join him will be good, but he also doesn't want the chef with him to fail. Suddenly someone approaches, calling him leader. Our hero is a bit puzzled by this. A girl asks if he already has an assistant, and he is surprised to see it is Min Seo. Then he says he just found one, and they both greet each other kindly. She asks how he is, and mentions that it has been quite a while since he went to France, but suddenly, she changes and says they need to start, because there is little time to do everything. And also excited, our hero asks if they can start. Min Seo is curious about what they will make, and it seems it will be a dish he taught her in the competition. Someone notices that he chose a difficult fish, and that despite being a genius, it was an unwise choice. Then he asks his assistant to get the knife, and he strikes the fish as if it were going to escape. He thinks that after he kills it, he needs to leave it in the water to drain it. The next step will be to prepare the soy sauce, and the girl confirms this. He uses rice wine and some ginger. Soon after, he returns to the fish and he starts slicing it, leaving everyone around, surprised that he does it so well, and is only 20 years old. Next, our hero asks the girl to cut the onions he will need now and then put them there. He explains that now, he just needs to sauté everything in soy sauce until it's ready. The competitors observe the excited duo working, and with that, they manage to prepare 3 different dishes. For the judges, one of them comments that he hadn't seen this before, and it seems that it really is a recipe from our chef. And when they taste the flavor, they seem to not believe it. They tell their chef that it is delicious, and the young man thanks them profusely. The chef wants to know why he chose bakbunja instead of choosing wine, and Banyu confesses that he had thought of wine first, but the acidity and sweetness of bakbunja are unique. He preferred to use that instead of wine. The man ponders this, while the other chef questions how he could have prepared that other dish, which is also ready, and he continues explaining his techniques, leaving the judges impressed. The girl gets all excited, thinking she was already expecting this, while she watches enchanted, thinking that her leader is the best. She congratulates the team leader for their victory. Banyu also thanks the girl, and says that the food is on him today, and she can eat as much as she wants. Then she questions if this is right, and he seems not to understand. She says that this is the season's hotel, and wonders if she can really eat in a place like that. Smiling gently, our young man says that there is no problem with that. A person approaches apologizing for the interruption, but saying that he needed to speak with him, and our hero questions who that man is. Then the guy introduces himself as Roman, the president of Seasons Hotel. He says he is there to have a chance to talk to him, and taste his food. He explains that all the chefs there have been eliminated, except for him, so he would like to test him personally. Getting excited, the president wants to know what he thinks about being tested, saying that he will enjoy it. She is impressed that it is a solo test for the young man, but she trusts in his ability. But she wonders why he is not happy with this idea. He knows that his skills are superior to those of the other chefs, but is uncertain about another test. You asked if they want a new chef, or if they intend to negotiate the terms, and find the president's expression intriguing. Thinking that expression has no effect on him, he agrees to the test. He says they can start right now, and wants to know if the kitchen is available. The man is surprised by this and says yes, but wants to know what he would cook today. He asks Marion if he was the one who cooked the food he was eating, and the man agrees, completing that he will make exactly the same food that he ordered. Then, he wants to know from the older man if that is enough to pass the test. The guy feels a bit awkward, questioning if he will make all those dishes. Someone says they just wanted to have a meal. He tells the girl that she has helped before, so he thanks her for that, and she says that a team is a team. She asks if they can make exactly the same dish that the other chef made, but our hero says it won't be exactly the same, but he will make an improved version of that dish. Marion, she is really impressed by this, and he asks if they can start. He wonders if everything is okay, since they know who the chef they will judges, and one of them is still shocked by the quality of the dish that was made earlier. The other chef says he feels the same way. Leaving the man confused, they comment that they think it is time for them to leave, and the director is confused. They say they are too old to create creative dishes, like the ones they tasted before. But now Chef Banyu is there, and they are sure that the young man is superior to them in various skills. Then he presents 3 magnificent dishes for the test. He asks them to please taste those. The 2 chefs immediately taste those wonderful dishes, and again, they feel something marvelous when tasting them. He is impressed, questioning if it is a carrot puree, and Banyu excitedly explains the dish. One of the chefs says he felt the cinnamon, and the other asks about the croquettes. Then he explains that he used shrimp powder to enhance the flavor. They are impressed that he made the flavor so incredible, and want to taste the next one. When he explains his last dish, the girl is really impressed with the young man, thinking that the leader of her team is truly wonderful. Then the director rests the cutlery on the plate, and calls his name. He says he believes that his chefs and he share the same opinion, then welcomes him to the hotel in a kind manner. He thanks him very much for that. Then 2 days pass, and our hero, all dressed up, circulates around the place. Someone welcomes Chef Banyu, catching him by surprise. It seems there is a welcome party for our young man. He feels embarrassed, saying that this is too much for him, but the director says it is their custom for new members of the hotel. Then the director asks them to go to the office. He mentions that it seems everyone already knows he has been hired, and in this meeting, they decide what kind of publicity they will use. Then he questions him if he is planning to open a restaurant, but he said he would need some time before he could do that, and the director is curious about how much time, but he says it's not exactly about time, but rather about the people he needs. He mentions that he heard about some students interested in joining the team, and in that case he can operate 2 restaurants. He advises to start the recruitment as soon as possible, but our MC thinks this method will take time and be expensive. He would like to choose the people himself. The director asks if he really wants that, questioning if he knows what their hotel is, but Banyu doesn't interrupt, saying he knows and asks for time to gather the best chefs he can imagine. One of the places he will look is at this culinary competition, so the man shouldn't worry. And after recruiting everyone, he will be able to open his own restaurant and achieve the maximum number of Michelin stars possible. The director is confused about why he wants to participate in this competition, asking why, and he explains that the reason is that he will not be a competitor, but rather a judge. The director becomes a bit tense with this explanation. Then that loud presenter again introduces the international culinary competition in Singapore. He can't believe that guy is back, and he will introduce the judges. He presents our hero as the most popular culinary figure in the world. At that moment he says he is the youngest chef to receive Michelin stars, calling him the man, the myth, the legend. Finally, after all that fuss, he gives the name Banyu. The competitors comment that he is the chef everyone is talking about, and that he is a genius at just 25 years old. He takes the microphone and introduces himself, welcoming everyone. He says he is surprised to be invited as a judge due to his limited experience, but will share the real reason he is there. He explains that he wants to find the best chefs to work with him in his Michelin star restaurant. The competitors question whether this is serious. The presenter also questions if this is true, and our hero confirms it. He draws attention by saying this is quite exciting, and that he has a lot of courage, but he thinks this will be unfair, especially for the participants who will be eliminated. Banyu says he is sorry for him to think that way, but it is a bit different. Leaving the man confused, he turns to everyone and says he would like them to welcome the chefs they will be competing against. Then he mentions that from the Blue Kitchen, there is Chef Matthew Wayne. There is also the chef from the Grace Hotel, named Robert Evans, and finally, coming from the Venezia Hotel, Chef Rick Nelson. Then he says he is sure that after this competition, the chef he is looking for will be one of these three. The competitors are a bit confused by this statement. Seems they are ordinary chefs, who have only recently become chefs, and are participating in their first competition. The presenter is confused, and he explains that he hopes one of them wins the competition. He says many will think this is unfair, because he is the judge of the competition, but there are other judges, and he assures them they don't need to worry about unfairness. Then he tells those three chefs he mentioned that he will pay close attention to them. With a friendly face he tells them to do a good job, and try not to disappoint him. Someone interrupts him and asks for clarification on whether he will really hire the person who wins the competition. He expected this type of question, and has a precise answer for it. He is also waiting for one of his students, who has little experience, but she has the potential to win this competition, and that is Miss May. The audience thinks he couldn't say something like that, and he adds that she is one of his best students, and if she wins this competition, everyone will understand what he means by her being wonderful. She notices that now, everyone is looking at her with angry expressions, as if they were throwing knives at her, making as much noise as possible. The presenter says that, now that everyone has been introduced, the challenge will begin, and that is the International Culinary Championship of Singapore, making all the show and noise possible. He says it is starting now. The interesting thing about this culinary competition in Singapore is that it is live. They cook in a completely open environment, so that everyone can watch. A disadvantage for the chefs is that the judges can monitor everything up close, which increases the pressure, and those eyes watching them end up having a significant impact on their dishes. But only a few chefs will experience this, and one of them seems quite calm while cooking, while another is a bit too tense, followed by a third, who also seems somewhat apprehensive. Our young man thinks that if he wants to win the show, he has to show confidence, and this is the type of boss he is looking for. He looks at his student, thinking that she shouldn't get nervous, as she is one of the ones he expects the most from. The girl seems to try to relax with her eyes closed. Then she opens her eyes with renewed determination. She grabs her knife, and thinks that Chef Banyu has expectations for her. Then she heads to her station with calmness in check, and she starts slicing that fish with impressive precision, leaving the other competitors around her impressed. As she works she gains more confidence, and our hero looks at her kindly, satisfied with what he sees. After a while, several dishes are ready and properly labeled. Then, the judges begin to taste those beautiful works of art. It seems that now it's time for Chef Benyu student. The dish the girl prepared was confit salmon. The judges start evaluating the dish, and are quite pleased with what they see. And now it's time to taste the flavor of it. Seems that the flavor is wonderful, and the girl comments that she could eat this forever. They are impressed that this was made by a chef with little experience, making our young man happy with the comment. The host thanks everyone for their hard work, and announces that today, they will present the winners of that championship. Let's start now with the third place, which comes from the Grace Hotel. Then he introduces Robert Evans, who celebrates a lot but seems to have something more. He also presents Matthew Wayne from the Blue Kitchen. In third place, moving on to second place, he introduces Ricky Nelson as the winner. And finally the moment has arrived to present what everyone has been waiting for. First place goes to the chef of the Red Table restaurant of Banyu named Chef May. The host congratulates all the winners and asks them to come up on stage. People around comment that the winners were all the chefs that you had mentioned before, and they think it's impressive that his student came in first place, believing he is a great teacher. Impressed that someone without experience could receive an international award. He wonders who this person really is. News about the program spreads quickly, saying that he managed to predict the winners of the show. The director says it feels like he is dreaming, and every place he looks has news about Banu, about his excellent skills as a judge. He then comments that he really succeeded. Going to the phone, he says he can't just sit still, and he wants to know when the young man will return. But on the other end, someone apologizes, saying they only received a call from the marketing department, and it seems it will take quite a while until Chef Banu returns, which makes the director a bit tense. The man continues that according to the chef, he seems to need more time to gather more chefs that are still missing. The man would like to know where he would find more chefs, if it would be some kind of competition again. As he arrives at a location, reporters ask if he is there to find another chef. Seems that now he is there not as a judge, but as an audience member, and they ask if there is a chance for another chef to receive his blessing. He smiles, as the reporters continue to ask for his answers tirelessly. First, he would like to thank everyone responsible for the international event, and many ask why he is not judging the competition. He thanked for the invitation, but says he can still feel the pressure from the last event, where he was a judge. And many also ask about the rumors of the restaurant, where he currently works, so he confirms that it is true, adding that the reason he is there today is to find young chefs to join him. One of the reporters asks if they can expect someone else to be blessed by him that day. Although he is anxious about some chefs, he finds it strange how they are referring to it. They insist on wanting to know who the chef blessed by his choice will be, but it seems he himself doesn't know how to answer that, but will try his best to respond. Then he reveals who the chefs he has his eye on are. A news report comes out saying that Banyu tried again to predict the winners of the show. The director says that thanks to what he is doing, the restaurant is gaining a lot of visibility, until someone announces that the young man is there. Excited, he stands up, saying that he has arrived. In that extremely luxurious hall, a group awaits, and an older man opens the double doors, vigorously calling for Banyu. He smiles kindly, realizing it is Mr. Roman. Very excited, he welcomes our young man, and he says he was waiting for him. Our MC wonders if he is always like this. Then he would like to know about those people, and Chief Bandu says that these people will help them at the hotel. He introduces them as the best chefs. The man is surprised by this, as he says he will introduce them. That young guy is named Robert Evans, followed by the other man who seems to enjoy the moment, named Matthew Wayne. There is also the green-eyed one, Ricky Nelson. The owner of the place is impressed that they are chefs who won the international competition. Our hero wants to know about the other two chefs, Marion and Jean Lewis, so the old man says he hasn't mentioned them yet, but at the moment, the two have been removed from their jobs. The boy is surprised, asking how that happened. Then in a room full of people, the two chefs are in the spotlight. The journalists ask why they are stepping down, as many are surprised by this sudden change. He explains that he didn't expect a press conference, but thanks the hotel for it. He gives a kind look to Roman and thanks him, saying he has great memories of the hotel. Then the chef says that the reason for their departure is quite simple, because it is time for them to change paths. That will change the history of the season's hotel. People are curious and question what he means by that. He shares that they have witnessed a new chef who will make history for the next generations of cooks, and that is why they decided to leave, saying that he is not just an extraordinary chef, but a chef of the new era. They know that some would suggest competing with the chef, but they don't think that's the right thing to do. That is why they want the new chef to celebrate the new era of the season's hotel. A reporter asks if they can talk more about this chef. They are mentioning then smiling. He says he believes everyone should already know. It is the one who will lead the future of this restaurant. Besides being the youngest chef with Michelin stars, it is none other than Banyu on TV. Says that the young chef has paved the way for future chefs. The man asks if it is about that chef everyone is talking about. The younger boy asks if they could invite him to some event, and it seems they can at least try. But one thing is certain, Anu is already known worldwide. So the man concludes that they really need to try a cultural exchange event between Korea and France, not just for Korean singers or film directors or actors, but also involving the presidents of both countries. Another younger boy is impressed by this, but the guy tells him to invite them, and this will be the final challenge before the cultural exchange event between Korea and France. And the chef responsible for the gala dinner for the event cannot be anyone other than Banyu. Several beautiful dishes are presented there, and RMC tastes them attentively. He says that all three are good, but they all have a flavor that seems like they came from an ordinary restaurant and cannot serve this in that restaurant. So he orders them to clean everything and start over. But he wouldn't have expected them to react so quickly, and normally, he needs to push a little harder for them to receive. Well, at that moment, his student May calls for him. She asks him to please taste the food she made, so he approaches and tastes. He explains that it has too little pepper, and was undercooked, and the vegetables are not cooked yet. Then shouting, she says she will do her best. Startling our hero, she goes to the counter, thinking that now she just needs to avoid the mistakes she made. She wonders why everyone is so enthusiastic today. While several people call for him, many people gather around him with dishes, asking for an evaluation of the results. He checks a bit, not understanding what is happening, and says it's fine. Then he starts tasting the dishes and giving his opinion on those things. Sometime later he is sitting in a square resting, thinking it was a really tough day. Roman appears saying that he looks deep in thought and wants to know how he is. Our boy questions if he is just taking a walk, but he says he is not a chef, but also not an ordinary person. He says that if you are a genius, you cause envying people, but if you are a genius like Banyu, people will admire you. The boy says he didn't expect this kind of treatment, and the old man says it's not quite like that. He explains that chefs Marion and Jean Louis are recognized chefs of the season's hotel, and he asks if he is not the chef who will create and lead the new era of cuisine. Then he asks him to just think about this subject. Being with Chef Banyu generates not only admiration, but also a sense of happiness for them. He questions whether he does not realize how excited they get when they are with him, and Banyu feels awkward. He was not very interested in becoming famous. His goal was only Michelin stars, and he ponders about creating a new culinary era. Then RMC insists and questions what brought that man there. And the guy almost forgot, but someone invited him to an event, and there is the contact of the person. It seems to be about that cultural exchange event, and they want him for a gala dinner. Banyu does not mind, but this would interfere with his work at the hotel. The director says that the presidents of France and Korea will participate, and this impresses our young man. But, since the Korean group decided to stay at this hotel, he has nothing to worry about. He is concerned about this, but knows that it is an honor to participate. The old man then asks for details about what will be served, and about the chefs as well. RMC observes the man leaving, and he thinks about the story of being the chef who will pave the way for a new era. His only focus in life is Michelin stars, and not caring about anything else, but he decided to change that destiny. He wants to show the potential that a chef can have, while thinking about his students and future chefs, and he will make this new era more wonderful than anyone could imagine. Seems that someone is already working hard. Then someone calls for the chef and says Korea, China, Japan. and these are dishes that represent each country. RMC says that in terms of appearance, they pass, but of course, there is something more important than that. And putting that in his mouth, he thinks it is the flavor. He calls for Henry, who responds quite tense. He says that the liver is well cooked, but the vegetables are overcooked. He tells me that it seems to smell burnt, and she apologizes, quite upset. As for Minsu, it seems that the meat is too seasoned, resembling Western food. Then he slams the hammer, saying that everything is bad and they must start over. All three respond to his request quite disciplined. Chef Banyo is truly relentless, but there is something more there. They wanted to know why. To make Chinese and Japanese food for the Korean crowd. It will be held in Paris, and they ask if they need Asian food for the event. The girl questions what her companion thinks about this. Banyo thinks that was the idea, since there is an abundance of Asian food there. In France, this is the result of the influence of other cultures, but it still remains French food. But the rhythm is gradually changing, and in the end, they will be able to accept these changes. And that is why it is better to incorporate Asian food instead of Korean. He knows it will not be easy to provide this complete experience for everyone, so the director appears, calling for him. Our young man turns to see what is going on. They received a proposal from a chef from Silicon Valley, and they could start immediately. He smiles and says he did not expect this to come so quickly. He explains that it is nothing special, but rather something he was planning. It is a reservation for an app. The director seems to understand even less now. The Red Table restaurant, Benny's Red Table, and also the hotel restaurant. These three are places he is in charge of, and the language barrier sometimes hinders people from making reservations, which is why booking through an app has become popular. But of course the app is not just for that. It also has some extra features. It seems our young man is a bit embarrassed to talk about the extra features of the app, but he explains that he has many fans because of his appearance, so the program will show where he is at the moment. The old man is shocked by this, but RMC tries to fix it by saying he was just joking. Laughing a bit awkwardly, he says that for a newcomer, he makes good jokes. Benyu laughs awkwardly, while thinking it is a good idea, and the director thinks that at least he understands his worth. He is a genius as a chef, and possesses the capability of a businessman. Although the app does not bring in revenue directly, when it comes to Benyu, he is sure it will be worth it. Then the old man says he can count on him for this project. Our young man thanks the director profusely, and says he will do his best. Laughing, the man says that they always do this. Some time later, our elegant hero relaxes on a bench. He realizes that the app is more successful than expected, and they even offer discounts for those who book through it. While he thinks that Mr. Roman knows what he's doing, someone approaches him, saying that they are about to start. He kindly stands up, thanking them for that. Then he continues on his way, telling them to go ahead. It seems that the cultural exchange event is about to begin. Smiling, he notices that there are many celebrities around. The most popular film director from France, and also a football player straight from the league, and also the leader of a boy band, who is surprisingly calm for the occasion. And finally, the main character of that event. Someone introduces the presidents of the cultural exchange. Benyu thinks that now they are the special guests of the event, and the reason he is there. The two men greet each other pleasantly. They are starting the event, and he asks for a round of applause, while our MC thinks it's for them. On the microphone, the man says, "Good morning." He introduces the distinguished guests from Korea and France and the famous people from around the world. He also thanks the newcomers to the event for being there. He wants to meet the person who is working in Korea and France. He points to Chief Banyu, saying that if he doesn't mind, he asks for an idea about today's events, and also mentions that if he keeps talking, people will find it boring. And Yu smiles in agreement, thinking that the man is quite sensible. The young man thanks him, and the president says it's no problem and appreciates his consideration. First, he thanks everyone for being invited to this wonderful event. Today's dish will be French cuisine, using Korean ingredients, and the theme will be harmony. And without further ado, he asks everyone to enjoy the meal. In the kitchen, he calls everyone's attention. Tying his apron, he asks if everyone is ready, and the highly motivated team responds that they are. He explains that as they know, the guests have high expectations of them, but they shouldn't worry as they always do. They must give them an experience that exceeds their expectations. He says they can now start with a resounding yes, chef. Sometime later he thanks everyone for their patience and says they will begin with their appetizers. Then they serve pumpkin soup, beef tartar and also steamed eggs with crab intestines. Someone comments that it's a shame to eat something so beautiful. The woman then tries the dish. The two are very impressed with how delicious it is. People keep saying it's wonderful here and praising Chef Banyu. He thanks them and is very happy that everyone enjoyed it. Moving on to the main course, a meringue sole and a special quail dish. But of course these are not ordinary French dishes. He added a special ingredient to them. He asks everyone to please try it. People are curious but doubt a little if there really is a special ingredient in there. Finally they decide to try the dish. As expected it is indeed wonderful, and they comment on the unique flavors of it. Someone manages to figure out what it is, and says that the flavor they are tasting comes from traditional Korean ingredients. Banyu confirms this and says that they are famous seasonings in Korean dishes, and they incorporated them into French cuisine. He adds that they must be wondering why they made the dishes this way, and this is so they can experience new flavors and sensations, because there are no limits to cuisine. It's not about how it's made or where it comes from, but how it is received, and if you achieve that, your work is done. The people around applaud the young man. He stands there, receiving the affection to the sound of bravo. He kindly thanks everyone for all of this. The night continues with people tasting the dishes. Then, Banyu approaches Kim Ho-nam and asks how the food is. That moment, someone calls out our MC's name and he smiles. The man says it is very delicious and is surprised to meet him, but our hero says that he is from a very famous music group that is rising to the top, and in fact, our young man is a bit nervous talking to him, but humbly he responds that he should be nervous in front of a Michelin chef. Then Banyu says he is happy that he enjoyed the food. The man seems to confirm, but has something else on his mind. On the other hand, he feels sad that he can't cook something like that for his companions, and many of them were not available to attend the event. Banyu says he understands. He says that his new restaurant will open soon, and he can take them there. The singer gets excited and asks if he is sure, and Banyu says of course, that they will soon send a formal invitation to them, and mentions that he has prepared something fun for the event. The next day the young man will be anxious about it, and people comment on what he said about the other event. They wonder what he has planned for the event. The next day, someone asks what that is. Seems there is a tablet on the table, and he is curious to know the reason. He comments that since many were expecting, they were confused, and the day before, he talked about the harmony of the two countries. But today they will do something different, and he hopes everyone likes it. And the theme for tonight's dinner will be about history. Seems the menu appeared on the screen, and they wonder if they should choose the menu. From there, one of them realizes that those are real dishes that Chef Banyu made on TV. Then he confirms and says that those dishes are the reason he is there, and proudly brings his culinary story today. They are just dishes they saw on TV, but none of them are listed in any of his restaurants. People are drooling seeing that. He says that his story is what allowed him to go so far. When asked, the man says he ordered that shikatsu in the Las Vegas style, and others say they will order the pasta and fried rice. That was Chef Banyu's signature. It seems the guests are quite excited about this event. The team comments that everyone seems very happy, and that the chef's idea was spot on. But of course he is the genius chef after all. Smiling, he says he hopes the team can move their hands and feet, and not just their mouths. Excited and tense, they say they just need to do the best job possible. The order from table B1 is up, and it is the golden fried rice, and the jokatsu in the Las Vegas style. They take pictures and are impressed, because it is exactly the same as what they saw on TV. And now they will taste to see how it really is. The guy gets excited, urging them to try it because it is delicious, but the girl asks him not to make so much noise. She says this is just fried rice, and usually, it is quite different from the things they see on TV. But upon tasting, the girl is somewhat speechless. She says she also found it really delicious, asking him to repeat what she said before. Now they understand why this dish became popular. While it was being broadcast on TV, people continue eating and enjoying that moment. More beautiful dishes appear, and people are eager to try them. They comment that they are really curious about how the president of France will feel about this. But to be honest, that is shocking how good it is. and this leaves the man a bit confused. He says they ordered garlic and oil and yakutsu, and that doesn't seem appropriate at all. And the same goes for the other combinations. It seems the dishes don't really match each other. Then he points to the people around who continue eating, and the faces of everyone reflect satisfaction and happiness. That guy asks what he thinks of Chef Banu, and the man replies that each table was prepared to look like a combined meal. Although it is wonderful preparing meals, he doesn't think that part is his genius part. The dishes he presented were the ones he made in the past, and he remembers the flavor, but he altered it in a genius way. He picks up the cutlery and tastes it. He seems to really like the flavor he is experiencing. Then out of nowhere Chef Banu approaches, asking how the food is, and catches the guy by surprise. He smiles and says, of course, it is delicious, making our young man really happy. He says it also looks very beautiful, and hopes to learn something from him. At some point our young man feels flattered, but he says everyone is praising him, and points for him to see for himself. Everyone there is happy to taste his food, and he can say this because he also sings for the happiness of others, and that is satisfying. Thus, he can say he does a very good job and you feel shy, and says he really appreciates that compliment. The young man says he truly deserves it, and our MC keeps thanking him, smiling. He tells the young man to enjoy the night, and as that young man had said, the last day of the event was indeed a success, and with that he appears again in news articles, praising his great performance. First he wants to thank everyone for staying with him. That night he says that everyone did a great job, and the team says it was nothing. Then he adds to his simple speech by saying that there is still much they need to do together, as it is an event that will take them to the next new stage, the grand opening of the All Seasons restaurant. From there on, the things to be done at the new location will be addressed, starting with a basic plan. The others show brief signs of light anxiety. All Seasons Banyu High, and will be the name of this establishment. Now the young man will say something additional. Each of the other three restaurants will receive the names red, light blue and light yellow. Red means that the food will be traditional Korean. Then, Yuhai and yellow will be for typical Chinese food, and finally the blue will be for classic Japanese. In despair the staff say they are in distant France. They question whether they will really serve something Asian. Right there, however, the chef momentarily shows a calm, serene smile. The young man explains again about the colors and their respective cuisines, asking if the group understood everything. An anxious employee says that a hotel like that, with 3 restaurants serving only Asian food, would clearly be unacceptable. Our hero explains that it is a fusion of French and Eastern cuisines together. I understand that they are not convinced by this, but I have several goals in mind, and one of them is the foundation we will build, he says, firmly, understanding even less. The people wonder about a foundation. The idea is to combine these cuisines to earn a Michelin star, and thus, the culture of East Asia will be known worldwide. 40 days before the grand opening, and everyone is working at full steam. Now that Benuhan's secret has been revealed, someone says calmly, "How much longer do we need to stay in this stupid kitchen?" Gary says in complete exhaustion, as she mentions that she is having fun with the others while cleaning a knife, and someone finds that too strange. Incredulous Aaron reveals that it is the first time he has made dough after so many years. When the 3 chefs are close to finishing a segment, they hear that the MC has just returned again. The young man asks if they are joking, and they quickly respond negatively. Suddenly the protagonist explains that he will hold a competition between the 3 kitchens that will last 3 hours, and the one that finishes last will clean everything up. He tells everyone to start the challenge. At that very moment, the staff eat and sleep in the kitchen, and haven't gone home for 2 whole weeks, even though it is not Gary and his colleagues' goal to always follow the young man. Each of them will do it, not because he is a truly great chef, but rather because of what that guy said before, clearly that the combination of the cuisines will bring a Michelin star, and the Asian culture will be widely known. Being the lead chef for the opening of that restaurant is every chef's dream, but it may sound more like a simple rite of passage. The idea of introducing East Asian cuisine to the menu is too simple. The tourists from there are only increasing, and this opportunity will be used to build the foundation of the restaurant so that the cuisine is recognized on both sides. China is the place with the most Michelin inspectors, and they are more active than other countries. Plus, the Michelin Guide took years to have a new edition, because of all of them Japan has more Michelin stars, so it is necessary to prove that one knows how to make authentic local food beforehand. Lastly, there is the special Korean cuisine. In 2023, only 2 restaurants earned 3 Michelin stars. Together it is not easy to make, but the protagonist wants to cook truly good and unique Korean food because of the chefs he met in Korea before. And at the cultural event of Korean and French cuisine, the young man felt the charm strongly again. For a moment, Ben Yuyan becomes immersed in his old memories. However, he quickly returns to reality when speaking with Gary, asking if the other believes he can recreate his own food in the right way. The employee is devastated by what he hears. Sadly perhaps, if the MC uses his vast experience to cook Korean food, he will earn a bunch of new stars. One of the chefs extends his plate, while stating that he has finished it. It doesn't change the fact that it will take 20 years to get 30 stars, but time will tell. Of course now, the young man is analyzing one of the finished dishes. In the next second he throws it directly away. Another dish slowly goes into the full trash can, while the chefs watch in deep despair. The protagonist says, "That is where those dishes should always be." Then he begins to speak, and everyone holds their breath together. The dish for the grand opening will be for the president, celebrities and top chefs. Is that as far as they want to go? The tired young man inquires. Later in the hotel conference room, they notice that the kitchen is still actively functioning. The enthusiasm of the cooks is great, but labor laws and contracts can be problematic. Nonetheless, they may be eager to stay in the kitchen, but when they change their minds, it can become an issue, and the important thing is to have someone competent to handle it. All the work is done in the best possible way, while the best dish is served ready. That is the reason for participating in that grand official inauguration, and finally, that long-awaited day has arrived. The young chef tastes the freshly made hot dish, saying that it turned out perfect, and that it was a great final effort. Everyone worked hard to get there together. Now is the moment to do their best always. Meanwhile, various people are at the entrance of the Grand Hotel. Everything is impeccable and ready to welcome them. "Well, you saw that," says the calm man. "Beck First John is here for the official opening. The President of France is present there. Members of Twitter are also there. And even the most prestigious people in the world came to the important event." He is somewhat worried about conveying something so significant there. While the girl points out that Ben Yu is arriving soon, our guy steps onto the stage and quickly clears his throat. He greets everyone and introduces himself cordially. He says it is an important day for the inauguration of his restaurant, and that he cannot sincerely thank everyone enough. Sometime later in the kitchen, the chefs work while he continues his long speech. He says for the event to begin, and everyone on his team follows the firm order, and he asks that for now they just enjoy the dishes. It seems the guests are doing just that. There they have a dish in the Chinese style, and one in the classic Japanese style, and then a spicy Korean dish. Someone says that it is authentic French cuisine, with Asian recipes combining very well together. They suggest trying the seafood soup, or the fresh tuna pasta. Those dishes really make your mouth water, and they can hardly wait to taste them. Soon the two of them taste and are amazed by the incredible flavor, and the others find it divine as well. Sometime later all that remains are stacked plates to wash quickly. The first time the chef stepped onto the stage was for the opening message, and then all the dishes were served. Next is the final greeting of the event, and our guy asks how the food served was. The poor guy rests thinking that everything is over now, but the guest cheers make him jump in surprise tense. He asks what is going on. Someone comments that they have had several experiences in the kitchen before then. He denies having had any experience like this unique one where the guests applaud and cheer in the packed restaurant. He adds that he is not very good at predicting the future, but he cannot say when this experience will finally end. Finally, night falls in that distant place, and our hero is stretched out, practically dead tired. It seems that no matter how good you are, an inauguration is always exhausting, and he worries if this influenced the quality of the dishes served. He sits up because he had said he would rest for only 30 minutes, but now he has to get back to work again. Someone approaches shouting his name very loudly. While he thinks that celebrities are always like that, he does not know the person calling for him, but something on the phone is too concerning. He feels somewhat worried about it now. Sometime later, he asks if his mother had a serious collapse. while twisting a wet towel. He asks her to stay quiet and calm. The doctor told her to rest, but she remained stubborn and even opened a small shop. But she says she cannot close the shop early, or she will lose customers. And she knows he must be busy with various other things, but he tells her to be quiet, because she does not know how hard it is to see her in this bad situation. He apologizes for the noise, and asks if there are more customers, but the guy says that is not it, and he tells him that her son just arrived, leaving her completely surprised. He arrives at the door worried about his dear mother. She becomes desperate, saying that she shouldn't have said anything to him, since he was far away and had to come there quickly. Then she sits down saying she is fine and apologizes, saying it is great to see her son, and that she will cook for him happily. Then, he asks the whole team to take care of the customers, and that later he will give some autographs, since many there are his loyal fans. As he heard that she was unwell, he decided to keep the shop closed for a week, so she can recover better. He thanks Mr. Beck First John for notifying him, adding that he will take care of her right away. He starts to walk away while looking at the woman, saying that there are no serious problems, and she seems a bit tense with the strange situation. Then that man calls out the name of our young boy. He says he would like him to know that he really liked his performance on TV, and that he has improved a lot, but he mentions that too much is bad, and that he still prefers the old menu. Our boy doesn't quite understand that. Sometime later the sink is full of large dishes. He notices that things seem to be going well. Some things have changed, and even the number of new tables has increased. He wonders if his mother is now sleeping peacefully. Then he goes to the room and takes a peek, realizing that she is even thinner than before. He thinks he could have helped her hire more people for the team, so she wouldn't have to overwork herself so much. But anyway, he doesn't know her real reasons, and it has been a while since he wanted to talk to her, since he went to distant Paris. He wonders if this is really his story or not, now because that woman in front of him is not his true mother but rather Ban Yu's mother. And he then stands up, as something suddenly catches his attention. He picks up a photo album, thinking that what he is about to say seems a bit heartless. He doesn't feel very attached to his family, or anything like that, which is why he needs the stars as soon as possible, to break this old curse. He wonders if his father left so early, as the photos only show images with his dear mother. He thinks a bit about this, and closes that simple photo book. He needs to get back to himself, and focus on getting the stars, besides being careful not to collapse as well. So he goes to rest a bit now. He then goes to his room and opens the large door. He finds a place with various books, scattered everywhere. He is shocked, because, no matter how long his son stays in another country, it's a different story to transform his room into this. So he is surprised when he finds something hidden. It seems that all of those are classic cookbooks. He finds a bunch of notes that seem to have been written dozens of times the same, and right behind them, a package with several white envelopes. Then he picks that up, wondering if they are personal letters. As he starts to read, he gets a bit tense when he sees written, "My beloved dear son," she is writing, to find out if he is doing well in another country, and wonders what the taste of his unique food would be. She says she is always rooting for him, and thanks to Mr. Beckwan's team, she has time to see the new news. She says she is really proud of him, and that his father wasn't there, because he was always busy, but she has always taken care of him firmly. She apologizes for never being able to provide anything, good or expensive, while he was young, says she is very proud and thanks him always. Some time ago she used to write those long letters. She shares that sometimes she dreamed of him becoming an important, successful man, and from now on, she will do her best until he returns to see her. And now that he has a great restaurant, they will be able to cook together happily. They will be able to cook and make the customers happy, and besides being and feeling alone, she will always be there for him, and he can return peacefully. Our boy realizes that she wrote a bunch of similar letters, and she did this while studying, and it's strange how she manages to do this, even while overloaded with hard work. He believes that if he doesn't achieve his goals, this time he will disappoint her, and he wonders if that is really right. Then the day breaks, and the woman slowly starts to wake up. Someone asks if she is awake, and she notices it is her son, saying that he cooks something, and wanting to know if she is well. Now, he explains that he knows she likes pumpkin porridge, showing her the hot food. Then he smiles gently, asking if that is right. She wonders how he knew, but his excuse was that it was natural, since he is her own son. He tells her to eat before it gets cold, but his mother is curious about why he is being so affectionate today. They talk about that it is really delicious, while he shows various important notes about his dear mother. Now he has a clear goal that he must achieve. He is curious to know what she thought of the food, and of course it is obvious that she thinks it is the most delicious thing she has ever eaten before. And to achieve this goal, he needs to be efficient and make the best choices. But he wasn't asking about the food served. What he really wants to know is if she would like to open a traditional Korean restaurant. Smiling, he says they can open a restaurant together, and if she's lucky, she might even earn a famous Michelin star. In the end, he thought this might be a better goal to fulfill the dream of his beloved mother. She thanks him for his hard work and says they are leaving. Ben you feels awkward for calling everyone right after giving him a break, saying he will make it up to them, but they are grateful for the opportunity given. Then she says there's something more, and puts her hand in her small bag. Since he took good care of them, it's time to give back. She mentions that she prepared some things for the health of her dear mother. He feels flattered and thanks her for that again. A little while later, he is going to meet his mother again. Calm, she stands up, because she wanted to say goodbye to the staff, but everyone has already left, so she wouldn't have to get up yet. Benny wants to know if she thought about what he suggested the day before. It seems that his mother really thought about it, but she doesn't believe she can manage a new restaurant. Moreover, he will need to leave soon, and she doesn't think she can do it alone. She thinks it would be best if she continues as a snack bar. He says that after a long time, he saw that kitchen again. She looks confused and asks what he is talking about, but thinks it's because it was all very crowded, since he is there, and Yu says that's not it. He heard her employees talking, and it seems that the customers are regulars, and always go there then. He adds that it seems she already has a trusted crowd, but she defends herself by saying she is the snack bar lady, not a chef. She had said that she couldn't close the snack bar for a week, but our hero realizes she said that because she didn't want to leave her customers hanging, which already qualifies her to be a chef. Furthermore, he asks her if it wouldn't be like a dream for them to do this together. He said he found those notes there, and unlike the others, this one is not handwritten. It seems that it is full of recipes and various combinations of her favorite ingredients. And Yu says he likes the food she is serving now, but asks if she wouldn't like to make different dishes, and this catches her mother off guard. He then smiles gently at her, adding that now she is a chef. Sometime later, our hero is there at the table with a pencil spinning. Although his mother hasn't followed a standard path to become a chef, the way she takes care of her customers is commendable, but he agrees with her concern about becoming responsible for a large restaurant, and he intends to help her. He considers bringing someone to help, but the restaurants would miss their chefs if he did that with someone from the team. He needs to find someone who is a chef. Then the paper beside him catches his attention, and it seems he has found something. While wondering who that person would be, sometime later in a very nice restaurant, the young man asks what he wants to talk about, and that is Yoon Jong, who competed against him on a TV show. Yu says it's been a while, and this is the first time they meet since that TV show. The boy says it's a pleasure to meet him, and that he has become a celebrity. He wants to know if he contacted him because he opened a new restaurant. Our hero wanted him to be less cold, so they could build a relationship there. But another boy seems a bit more irritated. But Yu says that's not the reason he reached out. He questions if he received a Michelin star recently, and how now that he is back in Korea, he would like to try some of his dishes. He asks the young man if everything is okay, and he seems a little tense about it. Yoonjong questions if this is all he has to say by going to his restaurant, and admits he still doesn't quite understand, but considering that he is a special guest who came from so far, he will serve him something special too. Satisfied with this, our hero thinks it seems he wasn't joking. RMC is curious to see how much the boy has improved after such a long time. Sometime later, in front of him is a very beautiful dish, and he is quite enchanted with what he sees. The boy explains that they are pork chops, served with applesauce, and that it is special because it is not on the menu. Yu says it is very sincere of him to receive such a dish, while thinking it will make a good impression. He tastes the food and it seems something happens. The boy looks satisfied, while RMC says he is curious about something. Then he wants to know if that is free, and the boy gets irritated, telling him to just eat. He looks very pleased with that meal. Then he calls Yu Young, once again getting straight to the point. He asks if the young man would like to work with him. It seems everything happened very suddenly, and Yu explains that he wants to open a restaurant in Korea, and is looking for an experienced chef. And of course, the goal of this restaurant is to earn a Michelin star. The young man is surprised that this is his true objective, and wants to know if he has more than one body to handle this. He says he knows he is quite skilled, but in Korea, it is a bit difficult to get Michelin stars, and he thinks he already knows that. Here is your text, corrected according to all the rules you defined. Benyu asks if he should take that as a no, but the chef says he is not provoking him, he is just being realistic. Then concluding the story, our young man says, "What do you think about this?" He places a paper on the table, saying that this is the menu, and that they will put on a show with it. Yu Young asks if there are only zucchini dishes there. He thinks our hero is challenging him, and asks if he thinks that would be worthy of a Michelin star. Benyu adds that all of this still needs a twist, so he prepared something more. He shows a paper that has writings about the Seasons Hotel restaurant, where he works, showing that paper. He says that if Yu Young wins the contest, the contract will be his and awaits his signature. But there is something more, however. If he himself wins, he will have no choice but to cook some zucchinis for him. For a while smiling, he asks if he agrees, while another young man says he is really desperate to get 3 Michelin stars with this dish. The boy says that his business in Korea is quite clear, and hopes he does not backtrack on the idea. Benyu has an initial internship project. He does not want to reveal much about it now, but by becoming his partner, he will reveal the secrets. Then he suggests they start with the name first, and the young man gets quite irritated. Then he asks what he thinks of the name Benyu Zucchini. After a while he explains how the competition will be. They will have only 20 minutes along with some rules, and then serve 3 dishes to the guests. Benyu then asks what the young man thinks about that. It seems that everyone there are foreign tourists, and of course it was not our MC who chose them. To be fair, it was another chef who did that. Yoonjong wanted to be consulted about the guests, but now it is too late, so he wants to know what our MC wants. He continues and asks if he wants it to be like the TV competition. He confesses that he does not know the real intentions regarding the all seasons contract, but he knows that the competition will be tough for both. Then he shows the kitchen, saying that there are some chef outfits around that he can use. Our hero says he is grateful that he accepted the challenge, and he confesses that he had prepared a whole speech in case it was the opposite. Yoonjong says that even though it seems he is joking, business is business, so they should not keep anyone waiting and start the challenge. Our young man says there are customers waiting. He notices that the young man is quite dedicated when it comes to the kitchen, and this is his personality. Yoonjong thinks that in fact, he was the second best in terms of passion for cooking, and that is why he did not win the competition. He realizes he still feels the pain of that defeat in the TV competition, and even though this is a stupid competition, he will not lose, and for that he will take a sure shot. While our hero admires the carrot, he notes that the boy puts in a lot of effort to keep the kitchen clean and organized, despite having a rigid and stubborn personality. On the other hand, it seems there is an excess of useless things there, and he feels a bit lost, asking where they found the things. Thinking the boy is a hoarder, he realizes he has wasted a lot of time looking for things here and there, but it was good for him to have a moment of relaxation before getting serious. Then without any mercy, he starts the work chopping that carrot. After a while, Yoonjong's dishes are ready and look great, and further down RMC prepares a bunch of dishes based on the new menu of the restaurant that will open. With his mother, the guests arrive amazed by it all. If you are a tourist there and your goal is Korean food, there are many options, but Korean food to your taste changes things. And the girl sees a flyer with the headline of his restaurant, which could mean they will go to his restaurant. Lastly, the way the dishes are evaluated there is not like on the TV show, because the invited guests are only there to fill their stomachs. After a while the plates are empty. The downside is that with full bellies, they end up not eating all the dishes. The guy feels a bit tense, while thinking that this means he has won. It seems they didn't touch Chef Benyu's food, so he asks how the competition stands. It looks like our MC lost that battle. The guests think there's something going on for them to eat for free and wonder what to do with the leftover dishes. The girl says that honestly, she's a bit full, but it would look bad if they don't try, so she would give it a shot. She puts a piece of it in her mouth. While it seems like she's having a fit, her friend asks why she's making that face. They wonder if it's tasty or not. While the guy's leg starts to shake, the guests try it and are affected by what they are tasting. It seems everyone there is getting carried away. The girl asks what the guest thinks of the dishes, and the guest has a wild reaction, saying they are super delicious. They cry because they have never tasted something so good in their lives, and want to be Chef Benny's students. He wonders what the hell is happening this time. He observes those different dishes that RMC made, and as he approaches he tries it. When he puts it in his mouth, he seems to notice something. He calls for Chef Banu very irritated. He wants to know how the hell he did that, but our guy just smiles at him. Bennu says he thinks everyone is already full, while clapping his hands, and he mentions that this food is from the restaurant. He will open and some will be on the menu there. Finally, he wants to know how they feel about the taste. The guests say, it's the tastiest Korean food they have ever tried, which irritates Yoon Jong. He leaves saying that Ben, you will take care of the rest, and that the guests with reservations will arrive soon. The team thinks the guy has gone crazy, but he does cook well too. They are confused about how the chef's dish lost to that pumpkin, but it's certain that Banyu has his secrets in the kitchen. But the guy thinks that, if there were any secrets to win this competition, he should already know them. As soon as he tasted that food, he understood why he lost. While he was thinking about various strategic elements, Chef Benyu focused on just one thing: quality of ingredients, cooking time, and the cut. But all of that is basic stuff. Almost having a fit, he wonders why he did that. If he's not satisfied with what happened on the TV show, suddenly something catches our chef's attention. He remembers Yoon Jong asking how the hell he did that. He realizes that he noticed this right after tasting the food, and for someone to see that, they would have to be attentive to the same details. It seems our MC chose the right person. Suddenly, someone asks if there's any way to eat that again. Benny says he will open the restaurant, and will invite them to come there. The name will be Benny's Pumpkin, and he would like the group not to forget that. Then 2 days after that incident, the guy is at the dinner table tense, and our hero seems a bit confused by this. His mother says that the important guest has arrived and she says he is more handsome than on TV. She kindly brings a plate to him, saying he needs to eat something first. He wonders if that wouldn't be the dish that Ben, you made on the TV show. RMC wants to know why he isn't eating, but he says he will eat when he tastes that food. He is surprised by something. He gets irritated, thinking he needs to stop reacting like this every time he eats the guy's food, shaking all over. He thinks he can't lose his pride right now, since he will be part of this. Benyu wants to know his opinion. Yoon Jong is surprised when RMC says he called him there to tell him something. It will be the first Korean restaurant with his name. He plans to leave the restaurant to him and his mother. This is because he needs to return to Paris, and wants the opening while he is still there. So there is only 1 week left, which obviously leaves everyone very worried. He apologizes, but needs to take an important call right now. He says on the phone that he has all the ingredients in his room, and that they can come in and take them. He says he will be back in a minute, and then asks the two of them to keep talking. In the meantime, she smiles at the guy, and says she heard that his son was looking for a chef to work with him, but she didn't expect it to be that guy, and she feels awkward for bringing a businessman like him there. The guy tells her not to worry, and that he was surprised to be sought out, but he believes there is a reason for it. He says he thinks it's because he is a ruthless chef, and he looks at you furiously, no matter how good your recipe is. But he apologizes for speaking like that, and says it's not about his bad intentions, but rather because he is really serious when he cooks. His mother finds it cute and laughs, leaving the guy feeling embarrassed. She says he seems serious on TV, but is actually a very kind person, saying he studied a lot as a child and had no friends. But she wants to know what Yoon Jong thinks about opening the restaurant in a week, and even though he is her son, she doesn't understand him well. Sometimes, the guy says he doesn't understand him well either, but believes that by hiring enough chefs, they can manage. He wants to try the recipe that Benyu made, trying to get as close as possible to what he is looking for. To his surprise, RMC's mother says that's not quite what she meant. because if they are going to do that, they need to surpass her son. Then she says that as soon as they finish eating, they should go to the kitchen and start the plan. And Yu thinks about the part of being better than his food, and he gets excited. Yoonjong says he is also a very strict chef, but she thinks that's good, and they will be able to give their best together. Banyu is worried if they would get along, but it seems everything is fine, and now he needs to solve another problem. A cell phone rings on a table. The guy asks if this is Mr. Banyu. RMC learns from Baek-won that everything is going well, since the budget and plans have been made correctly. It seems they are stuck in a commercial area, and the chances of making a profit right away are slim. Banyu is surprised that everything is going so well, saying that he really is an expert. RMC says he won't accept excuses for anything going wrong, but Mr. Baek-won assures him that there is no problem at all. Fast or not, what matters is that the food is delicious, because if it isn't, everything will be ruined. Baek agrees, but also thinks it's too easy for the kid to say that. And our hero says that's because he learned things from him. Then he remembers that there is something more. He says that, based on the name he chose about the pumpkin, he has an idea and wants his help. And someone says they would just like to ask why pumpkin, and this catches our MC's mother by surprise. Then she explains that it's nothing special, just because she likes pumpkins. Then she questions if he was thinking of something like that, which is why he chose that name, teasing him. The woman says she is good at reading people's minds, and the guy feels that all his secrets will be revealed. And one day, she is curious about why he decided to help her, as he could have just ignored his insistence. The guy says he was inspired by his grandfather to study abroad and gain more experience. When he became a student of Chef Jack Kim, cooking is simple and his confidence grew, until he met Banyu on the TV show, and he struggles to find words to describe. The first time he met him, he was the guy who had only cooked in a diner, and he was impressed to find out that he learned on YouTube, and in the end it was he who lifted the champion trophy. He shares that he wasn't discouraged, and realized that he was a genius. What irritated him was that the kid was so ignorant, but when he met him again, he discarded his plan to get the star with the restaurant, because he thought it was stupid, and now he has been cutting pumpkins for 3 days. As she can see, it seems he is there to train a bit, and also to rid himself of guilt. He is there to learn every detail he can, and he is also curious about the ridiculous secret of the chef. And then he suddenly remembered that he only followed the standards of the kitchen, while Banyu went beyond those standards. He is quite curious to know how it will be if he follows these standards from now on. The woman says her son has earned Michelin stars, and the young man replies that he thought so too. However, he thinks that those 4 stars must be just the beginning. For him, our young man says he nailed the flavor of the pumpkin dish, and he continues eating, while the duo in the back is quite satisfied. To maintain the texture of the pumpkin, it is necessary to remove the fibers and seeds, but removing too much will take away the sweetness of the pumpkin. Banyu congratulates them for having done this, but he needs the key ingredient to stand out the most. And the fried pumpkin with shrimp is also great, and he says he understood the instructions for the dish well, and even though they didn't have much time, they did a great job. He thinks the work turned out really well, and at this way they can win the Michelin star. It's late and he leaves everyone surprised, because the next day, they will see the restaurant that is ready. That the young man asks if he had been preparing something like this since he arrived in the country, because it all happened very quickly. He smiles, saying he was worried about delays, but believes they will manage. And Yoonjong says he is not really surprised by this. He becomes a bit suspicious, because RMC says they need to go to another place now, but he adds that there is something he needs to discuss with him. Yoonjong becomes desperate, because he will have to leave the country in 3 days, as he is busy with work at the All Seasons Hotel. Seems he will no longer be present at the restaurant's opening because his schedule has become complicated. The chef finds it funny because he always thought you did exceptional things, so he thought he might be a robot or an alien, so he asks if that was all. But our hero says he also wanted to thank him, and he wants to thank him because of his mother, catching the boy off guard. But Yoonjong starts to respond kindly, and it seems he didn't tell his mother that his departure was moved up. In fact, it was just a hunch. as he thought that given the dynamics of things, he hadn't mentioned this to his mother yet. He says he understands the fact that he is worried about his mother being alone there, but since he owned a business for a long time, he can say that she is not weak, and that he recognized her as a boss. So he asks how a restaurant could function without trusting the chefs. This leaves our MC surprised, and he comments that the young man is a very oblivious person. When he returned, he told his mother about his departure, and of course she was disappointed by this, but she didn't express any annoyance or sadness on her face in the remaining 3 days. They inspected the restaurant, and everything turned out really well. He hired 2 Michelin-starred chefs to learn more about managing a restaurant. There is something else that left his mother somewhat surprised. It seems that Ben, you organized a franchise network for the snack bars. It was a secret, but the guy revealed it to put her mind at ease. He and his team will take care of this, so she can focus entirely on the new restaurant. He says her son organized everything well, and that now she is not just the snack bar girl, but the chef and director of the restaurant. At that moment her phone rings. On the other end her son says, it's almost time for the restaurant to open, and he congratulates her. He apologizes for not being able to be there, and upon returning, he discovered how passionate she is about cooking, and together they were able to create opportunities. With that passion, Benyu says he is very happy for her as a son, while Yoonjong says everything is already ready, and RMC adds that he believes in her ability. Then she says that mommy needs to go to work, because the customers are waiting crying. She says she will do her best, and that he doesn't need to worry, finishing by saying she loves him very much. Benyu also says he needs to hang up, because he will have to get on the plane, and when he arrives in Paris, she will be the first person he calls. Meanwhile, the inauguration of that new restaurant begins. Our video ends here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye bye.